Good morning, team. This is Ramesh, your trainer. I worked in banking domain for around 25 years. I was working in all sides of banking operations and also customer side of IT. Things like giving requirements, accepting deliveries, that type of a thing I was doing. Then from 2005, I came to IT. I worked in various capacities like a consultant, business analyst, project manager, delivery manager, and so on. So for the last 2 years, I've been training people in PMP and Agile. So I'm PMP, PMACP. I've also done my ISTQB, and I'm a certified associate of Indian Institute of Bankers. Okay, so that's about me. Introduction to PMP, and this is about PMI. PMI is a not-for-profit organization in the sense that it doesn't distribute profit. Established in '69, it's in Pennsylvania. So many members, 500,000 members, and 171 countries. This number is much more than the number of countries you have in United Nations. No, well, PMI advocates a profession. It makes sure it exposes the standards and champions the cause of project management profession across the globe. And if you go to pmi.org, you have a lot of opportunities to interact with people, network with people. You have a lot of quizzes, a lot of webinars, a lot of discussions happening. So pmi.org is a very, very interesting place to be in. In case you have not become members of PMI, my recommendation is please become a member right away. Now, these are some of the certifications. PMP is the flagship product. It's well known for this, right? Then you have CAPM. Those who are fresh out of college can take the CAPM exam. Then you have program management, portfolio management, Agile. This is PMI ACP. This is fast become popular. Now you must be asking a question. How is PMI ACP different from Scrum certification, Kanban certification, and so on? See, the Scrum, Kanban certifications, they're just specific to those methodologies. For example, some certification only tells you about Scrum. But if you take PMI ACP, it covers an umbrella of agile methodologies. Anyone who has taken PMI ACP knows that it's much, much more difficult than passing other certifications like PSM, CSM, and so on. This is more formal, more rigorous. It covers all agile methodologies in a much more formal manner than any other certifications. So my suggestion is after this PMP, you can also take up PMI ACP. And this is scheduling professional and risk management professional. There's one more exam which is not listed here, that is PMI PBE, that is project business analyst. Okay, that is also becoming very popular. So I think all of us have done our degree certifications, isn't it? So we should have at least 36 months of experience, or it roughly translates to 4,500 hours. And plus you have 35 contact hours, that EduRec would be giving you. With this, you can apply for the exam. Now, something about this experience. Project duration must not overlap. What does it mean? See, let's say you worked in two projects simultaneously. Let's say January to December. You worked in project A and project B. So you cannot claim your experience as 24 months. Well, you can claim your experience only for 12 months. Okay. You can claim your experience either in project A or project B. So that is what it means. Project duration must not overlap. This experience that you cite of 4,500 hours, which is 36 months, should span across 8 immediately preceding your date of application. That is, you can claim experience only of the last 8 years. See, once you start filling in the application, the moment you reach 36 months, automatically the application will stop accepting any additional hours. So from that, well, I've reached my 36 hours. That way it is helpful. See, I'll also be uploading an application calculator. You also have one PMI website, you can use it. I'll also load an application calculator, that's a spreadsheet. I can just select the start dates and end dates, and automatically it'll convert that into number of hours and spread it across 5 process groups. See, there are 5 process groups. Typically, a project manager allocates a specified number of hours in each process group. How many hours, what percentage of time does he allot in each of these process groups is a PMIism. That is, PMI believes so. So my calculator will automatically apply your experience across these 5 process groups. So that way it'll help you. Then it says 20% applications are picked up for an audit. Now, should you be designated as a project manager? No. It's enough if you've had any project experience. You could be a business analyst or a consultant, a project manager, delivery manager, anything. So let's come to the exam part. Now, let's understand what this exam is, PMP exam. These exams are conducted for 4 hours duration, and these are conducted in Prometric web centers, Prometric centers. So most probably from your description, all of you are from Hyderabad, Bangalore, US, Canada. These are all places where you definitely have Prometric centers. It's an international certification body. Most of you must be familiar with them. So you have to book your slots in one of these Prometric centers. How will you do that? See, the moment your application is accepted, PMI would be asking you to make payment. So once you pay the fees, you'll be given a serial number. So you have to use that serial number to book your slot in a Prometric center. Normally, you get slots in some 7 to 10 days time. So there is not a big rush. Easily get it. It's not a problem. Then you have 200 multiple choice questions. So they're all mixed randomly across process groups, and you have to complete this exam in 4 hours. See, you can't take any break. You can take, in the sense you can go out, come back, but the clock doesn't stop. You lose whatever time you take. So my suggestion is go well prepared and sit out for the entire 4 hours. Don't take a break. That's my suggestion. Then out of these 200 questions, 175 have marking and 25 are pre-test questions. 25 questions don't carry marks. That's what it means. Out of 200 questions, will be evaluated for all the 200, but only 175 of those 200 questions actually carry marks. 25 don't. What are these pre-test questions? Well, these are actually given in our test to design, to understand how difficult these are. If everyone has answered the question, it means it's easy. If no one has answered, it means very difficult. Those extreme questions are eliminated, and questions of moderate difficulty in levels, out of these 25 questions are picked up to be set for subsequent batches. Well, we don't know what these pre-test questions are. They don't come in a particular order. So as far as we are concerned, all the 200 questions carry equal marks. Okay, that should be our approach. There is no negative mark. So don't make the mistake of missing. You have to answer all the 200 questions. If you're doubtful, just make an intelligent guess. You might be right. So you might get a mark. So don't miss any questions. Now, who sets these questions? PMI doesn't set the question. PMI doesn't write PMBOK for that matter. It charters a body of experts. And everyone like you and me, all of us can contribute ideas based on which this PMBOK gets revised once in every 3 years or 4 years. Right now, when we are in PMBOK 6. So it is not that PMI writes PMBOK and says, well, this is what project management is. All exam questions should come within this book. No, it's not like that. To say that this is what project management, just what is stated in the book, it's like having a very fossilized view of project management. So these questions are actually set by volunteers. Who are the volunteers? People who have been invited by PMI, people who have passed PMP exam, and people who are invited by PMI to take part in exam development workshops. So I was also invited for one of the exam development workshops that was held in last year, in Bangalore. So what happens is here, the volunteers bring their situational questions for discussion. So each volunteers discuss the type of questions and the type of problems they faced in their real projects, and they agitate their minds and come up with various options and decide which was the best option. And they validate it against what practically was applied in that situation. So that way, exam questions are 100%, or I can say 200% situational. You cannot commit anything to memory. So just understand that. As we discuss in the classes, try to relate this to your day-to-day project management. See, some people have a hold of view that PMP is different, your real projects are different. No, it's not like that. The same concepts are practiced in your real projects. Maybe you have different names, different nomenclatures, but all these processes are still there. So my suggestion is try to relate what we discuss here to your day-to-day project management. So that lets you get some sort of a situational understanding that will help you pass the exam. This exam is not a test of one's knowledge. I've seen a lot of MBAs in project management, and I've also seen a lot of experienced people, 25 years, 30 years experienced people find it a struggle to pass this exam, because this is not just about knowledge. It is not just about experience. This exam is about testing how well you understand PMI's framework. So understand what is PMIism, understand how PMI views a particular thing. You must always assume that you are part of a very big project, like a project that runs for 2 years. You have some thousands of people employed in this project, and you must wear the cap of a project manager. You might be working in different capacities, but you have to wear the cap of a project manager of a very big project, employing hundreds of people, long timelines, and you have to assume that all these processes that we discussed here are actually being put into practice. So you need to acquire that expertise, that perspective. Unless you acquire that perspective, well, you'll not get you cannot really answer the questions. Then you'll be getting your certificate after 2 months. But the moment you pass the exam, you click the submit button, results would pop out. It'll tell, congrats, you passed the PMP exam. So from that very moment onwards, you can add PMP to your name. The moment you walk out of the exam, after completing it, somebody would be shaking hands with you and they'll be handing out a transcript that tells you that you've passed. And these exam scores are confidential. You cannot know from the PMP certificate how much you scored. So these are confidential. You'll just given one personalized report. You can go to pmi.org. Against your personal profile, you will find that there is a personalized report to you. This report tells you how you performed in different process groups. That is only for your consumption. It's not for public view. So as far as, nobody really knows how much one secured in the exam. Now the question is, what is a pass mark? Even that people don't know. PMI does not advertise. Some 15 years ago, a long time ago, it said the pass mark was 62, but it has stopped publishing marks after that. So some people say it could be 70, 80. It's in realm of public speculation. Okay, so be well prepared. Now let's come to fee structure. Okay, so there's a slight mistake here. Members, non-members. So you must be wondering, is it possible for non-members to take the exam? Of course it is. PMI is not prescriptive. It doesn't compel you to become a PMI member. So anyone who's not a PMI member can also take the exam. Okay. Now you have two types, computer-based, paper-based. Most people prefer computer-based because paper-based will not give you real-time results. You have to wait for 2 to 3 months. Okay, it's not worth the wait, isn't it? So people go for computer-based testing. Okay, for members it is 405. For non-members it is 555. Can you see? It's slightly more, right? Not slightly more, almost 30% more. So if you feel that I will save membership fee by not becoming member, well, you'll be forced to pay higher fee for the exam. Okay, so it doesn't really make any sense not to be a member. You must become a member. Okay, and you have a lot of resources. It's a very interesting place to be. If you have to acquire 60 PDUs, if you have to watch webinars, you have to become members. Otherwise, you cannot. So therefore, you have to become a member. There is no way, right? Then the membership fee is $140. So you have to pay 405 plus 140. Okay. Then you have local chapters. If you want to become a member of a local chapter, and if you find that there is any worthwhile activity which your local chapter performs, like if it's going to give you volunteering opportunities, well, you can definitely become a member. Otherwise, you don't have to. It is not mandatory. One can take the exam 3 times in a year. Well, it's not going to happen to us. All of us are going to pass in the very first attempt. Okay. So once you certify, you have to acquire 60 PDUs in a 3-year cycle. Okay, and there are multiple ways in which you can earn. The one I told you was just watching webinars. Okay, there are other ways, like you can mentor your team. Okay, and you can claim PDUs. You can just claim, that's all. Nobody's going to really verify. Okay, it's in good faith that you have to claim, honestly and in good faith. Or you can claim that you have read some project management books. Okay, so in case there is an audit, you may have to submit notes that you took while reading these books, your personalized notes. So as you read the books, you just make notes in case you want to claim reading project management literature as a basis for PDUs. Okay, so my suggestion is go to pmi.org, look at the multiple ways in which you can acquire these 60 PDUs. Okay. Yeah, this is the book I was referring to, Project Management Professional. Okay, PMP handbook. You can download it. It's a free publication. Yeah. Now let's come to the basics of project management. Any questions, anyone? You can ask me. Abhay, Binoy, Zilan, Palani, Geet Bhatia, anyone? Gulam, Karthikeyan. Yeah, Mohsin, you have a question? Let me come to that, please. Yes, go ahead, Mohsin.
Quick question. These 60 PDUs, we have to start after 3 years, or can they be gained between these 3 years of certification?
Yeah, the 60 PDUs you have to start acquiring from the moment you pass the exam, so that you become eligible for renewal during the next 3 years. That is from moment of passing to the next 3 years.
Okay, I don't
Anytime.
have to wait for 3 years before
No,
I
you
get
should not.
started.
No.
Okay.
That'll be too late then. That'll be too late.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah,
You can
fine.
really enjoy watching those webinars, once in a week or so, you can just watch 1 or 2 webinars. So it's very easy to acquire, not difficult.
Thank you.
Welcome. Yeah. Anyone else? Any questions?
Hi, this is Palli here.
Yes, Pani. Yeah. Where are you from, Pani? You joined a bit late. We couldn't. Yeah.
Yeah, there was confusion in my class timings, so I got just no notification. Then I got
Okay. In fact, I didn't find you name in the list of attendees, so I was surprised. Okay. Go ahead, Pani. Very happy to have you in our midst. Yes.
Yeah, actually, I am from Bosch. I'm from Coimbatore.
Mhm. Okay.
Actually, I am just 15 minutes late. Just 15 minutes, whatever the class has gone out, I can go through the recording session, right? It will be uploaded or how it is?
I mean, these recordings.
Yeah, this recording, the session what we are in today's session will be
Yeah. Yeah.
uploaded.
By tomorrow, this time it will be uploaded.
Okay, okay, okay.
It
I
takes
can go
24
through.
hours. Yeah. Yes, you can go through that. Yeah.
And
Yes.
if I have any doubts on the first session, I can
Yeah.
come back on the second.
Sure. Not only after the second session, anytime you can
Okay,
just send me a mail. So you can send it
okay,
to Edureka support. They'll automatically forward it to me. You just put my name in the subject line, PB Ramesh PMP trainer. Automatically they'll send it to me. Okay.
okay.
So yeah, last batch also, we had somebody from Coimbatore. It's a very nice place. Okay, Sirwani water, no? Okay, I was in Coimbatore. I worked in a
Uh,
bank. Yes. Anyway, anyway,
yeah, yeah,
welcome. Yeah. Can you now self-mute, Parni, so that
yeah,
if anyone else, yeah, thanks. Hmm. What about others? Anyone has any questions? Yeah, looks like there is one question from, no more questions. Okay, let me proceed. Okay. So it refers to here PMBOK. Okay, project management body of knowledge is distillation of project management body of knowledge. Currently 6th edition, sources of all project management processes. We'll be discussing that in deep. So we'll be discussing these 4 topics: environment, foundations, role of project manager, 10 knowledge areas. Okay. So each of these knowledge areas is divided into 4 topics. Key concepts. Okay, you have key concepts here. Key concepts. Then trends and emerging practices. I mean, what are the recent trends, Then how should you ensure the processes described in PMBOK are relevant to your organization, to your projects? So what changes should you make? How to make changes, right? Then what does it mean if you're working in an agile environment? For example, when you discuss about scheduling, we'll discuss schedule relating to agile. When we discuss budgeting, we'll relate budgeting relating to agile projects and so on. Okay, so you also have bits of agile covered in all the knowledge areas. So let's get into the subject proper. Today we'll just be discussing certain things which are on the periphery of projects. That's why we call the project environment, role of project manager, and so on. So we'll be discussing a lot of things. They may look a bit disjointed to you, but all things will fall in place, okay, from day 2 when we start discussing integration management. Okay, so let me tell you, well, you're all very experienced people. 15 years of experience is quite a big thing, Most of you have 10 to 15 years of experience. So I'll be discussing some very fundamental things like what is a project? Okay, you should not feel insulted. What the hell, this guy is telling me what projects are now after mine being there for 15 years. Okay, well, I'm just requesting you, if you know some concepts, well, just listen to me, fine. If you don't know, well, you listen to me more eagerly. Okay, so some of these concepts might be very fundamental for you. Okay, now what is a project? A project is a temporary endeavor undertaken to create unique product, service, or result. This understanding is absolutely important. Okay, this is the way projects are run, isn't it? You should understand this. Now, what do you mean by temporary endeavor? It means it has a start date and end date. What does it mean, start date and date? Well, okay, see, you go to a bank. What do bank do? They accept cash, dispense cash, accept checks, pay checks, give you loans, recover loans, a lot of things they do, isn't it? Well, these functions should be done as long as a bank exists. There is no start date, there is no end date. They are permanent activities, isn't it? It's not temporary. But projects, those are called as operations. What we saw now is those are operations, day-to-day things. You have some standard operating procedures that tell you how to do the things. Okay, there is nothing unique about it. The same thing people keep doing every day, right? But in a project, it is totally different. A project has a project charter. Okay, before you have a project charter, you have a business case. Business case gets approved and you have a project charter. Then project charter gives rise to a project, and the project is over once you deliver project results to operations. Okay, so it has got a definite start date and end date. That's why you call it temporary. Okay, and it is undertaken to create a unique product, service, or result. Well, why should projects create something for operations? Why can't operations create them for themselves? That is a question. Let's say you're working in a bank. You've been generating report after report. You're working, let's say all of you in IT companies, So let's say your client, when does a client come to you? Well, when there is something that they cannot handle in their day-to-day operations. The central bank of the country would have asked them to come up with a new reporting template. Okay, or your client might want to introduce some new functionalities which is not capable of being delivered as part of the existing IT application, isn't it? Let's say a new report. We were discussing a new report, no? So a bank officer would just try to go and generate a report. Well, he'll find that it's not possible, right? Then he'll write to his administrator, ask him if he can tweak that as part of the setup features. Well, the administrator will try to tweak the setup features and he'll find, well, it is not possible. It has to be coded, isn't it? So operations has some inherent limitations. There are certain things that they can do. There are certain things that they cannot do. So this template, a new template or a new business intelligence, requires a new coding, isn't it? So that's how a project starts. Operations teams immediately comes to projects and says, well, we want you to code a new report. Do that for us. So that's when the project starts. So when does it end? Well, the moment you deliver the project results, that is the moment you deliver a capability to your operations that it does not so far have, well, your project ends, isn't it? So that's why I call that a temporary endeavor. And it delivers a unique product, service, or result. What do you mean by unique? Is it like discovering a new continent or a new planetary system or a new drug formula every time? No, it's not like that, right? Unique actually refers to something that is not already there in the organization so far. I can just give an example. Let's say there is a company which is selling Coke, right? So a departmental store that is selling Coke, departmental store, right? Now, every time you buy a Coke, you have to go give them some money. Somebody would physically give you a bottle of Coke or a can of Coke. That's how it's been done so far. Okay, but now this company decides to install vending machines. So the same sales operations is going to be done in a different way, not through human intervention, but through vending machines. Okay, so this is something it's going to have for the first time. So that is unique. It might already be there in other organizations, other departmental chain, well, it doesn't matter. As far as this organization is concerned, it is there for the first time, and that makes it unique. Okay, it has got a start date, end date. End is reached when project's objectives are met, or a need for the project does not exist, or project is terminated. So when will a need for a project not exist? Well, the customer decides. Okay. And each project is different from others in at least one attribute. See, why do you call it unique? Because it's different. Earlier project is different, current one is different, the next one is going to be different. Difference in terms of customers, requirements, environment, anything. Fine. That's what makes projects really risky. And it's also why it's interesting. Okay. Now, what do projects do to organizations? Like I told you, it drives change. Like a simple example we discussed, capability to produce a new type of report. If you want to change the existing reporting capability, you require projects. You need to come up with a project. Project manager has to ask his business analyst to go gather requirements, come up with requirements, convert that into design, code, test, deliver, isn't it? So if you want to have any change in the organization, it could be adding new type of products to your portfolio. Okay, well, you require projects. Otherwise, you cannot have change, right? And they enable business value. What is business value? Business value is money, isn't it? Right? So you have to have net quantified benefit. Can be tangible or intangible. What is intangible? Goodwill, reputation. Let's say you're conducting a local sporting event. For that, they require a project, no? Isn't it? You have to go talk to the guys, find out what type of sporting event you can have. Okay, put up the and infrastructure. All this is a project, no? So that may not be getting you direct financial returns, monetary returns. Rather, they might give you some brand equity, reputation, goodwill, and so on. So it could be tangible or intangible, or it could just increase your profits. You take out a new product based on a project result. You take out a new product. That is, you come with a prototype. This prototype is converted into a real product in a factory, and it's marketed, and it starts generating revenues. No? So it can also add ROI. Okay. So why do you have projects? Initiation context. Well, it could be to meet regulatory needs. Let's say you have some new Euro emission norms, right? So you have to change your engine. Okay. So, or it could be legal, social requirements, like you want to introduce some sort of install some safe drinking water project for a school nearby. Okay. Social requirements. Stakeholder request, implement or change business technological strategies. There might be mergers, amalgamations, new reporting relationship, new lines, new products. A lot of things could happen. So even then you require projects. Or some of the existing products may require a fix. It might be running for a long time. You may have to make some modifications, or there might be some escape defects, bugs. Okay, so this could also be projects. Okay, improve your processes, services. All these require projects. Okay, without projects, you cannot really manage any change. Okay, uh, looks like there is some question. Just give me a moment. This question is from Geet. How result is different from production, service, and project definition? Yeah, Geet wants to know how projects results are different from product service. See, I'll give an example, Geet. Let's say you want to manufacture a pen. Well, day-to-day manufacturing of a pen is not projects. That is operations. Okay. But if you have to manufacture a pen, you require prototype for a pen, no? Pen should have a cap, it should have a diameter, it should have a body, right? It should have a barrel, then a cap, the nib. So how do you come up with this prototype? You come with a plan, isn't it? You first understand the scope, you talk to the customers, understand the requirements. Then you come with the schedule, you come with a budget, you come with scope. Okay. Then you define quality. So these are all project management processes. So when you perform these project management processes, you develop a prototype. So this prototype is project. The end result of a project is a prototype, isn't it? Or any deliverable. That is project. So when this prototype is used by this pen manufacturing company to manufacture pens, that is operations. Did I answer you, Geet? Okay, fine. Now let's go to the next topic. Thanks, Geet. Yeah. So these are all examples of project. developing a new product, service, or result. What is service? Service is like you want to install a transmission tower for sending and receiving signals, or a result. It could be a research study. Okay, so that might produce a result. The result might not be definite. No, results are always research is always hypothesis. You don't know whether it is yes or no. Whether it is yes or no, you know only at the end, isn't it? Okay, it could also be result. Or there is an amalgamation merger. You want to change the style of the organization. You want to make the organization flatter. You want it to be more responsive to the market. Okay, so even that will entail a project. Why? Because you have to make a process analysis. Okay, so that is a process that cannot be done by operations. Developing or acquiring a new or modified information system. Okay, conducting a research effort, constructing a building, implementing, improving, enhancing existing business process. All these are examples of projects. Yeah. So how do you distinguish between a good project and a poorly managed project? Basically, what is project management? Application of knowledge, skills, tools, techniques. So that is what we'll be discussing. Okay. And you find this in PMBOK. Plus you have some soft skills. Soft skills are not taught by PMBOK. Okay, that is something that we acquire. Okay. Then what's the difference between effectively managed projects, poorly managed projects? Effectively managed projects meet business objectives. What does it mean? See, a lot of times you find that we deliver and business doesn't start using them. Why? Because business, we are only a project success. We are not business success. Unless business uses your project deliveries, it's a waste, isn't it? So we must have met business objectives. Stakeholders should have been satisfied. Okay, it increases chance of success. Well, you have to manage constraints. What these constraints are? Typically, you have time, cost, scope, right? We'll discuss what these constraints are. So these constraints should be managed well. In good projects, these are all managed well. Okay. Then respond to risk in a timely manner. There could be a lot of uncertainties that could impact your project deliveries. Okay. So how effective we are in planning, how effective we are in responding to those risks. Okay. So good projects manage risk very well, and you deliver the right product at the right time. Okay. Manage change in a better manner. So we have to be very careful about changes in traditional projects. Okay. What we're going to discuss substantially is about traditional projects. So we have to manage changes in an efficient manner. We'll see how to manage changes. We have a topic called perform integrated change control. We'll see how changes should be managed. Okay. That is, you have to be very restrictive towards accepting changes unless the changes are really required by business or unless it is required to meet some regulatory requirements. We should not accept frivolous changes. Okay, frivolous changes, right? They could, they could really throw our projects out of gear. So we have to be very careful about managing changes. Okay, so good, effectively managed projects have all these. Okay, what about poor projects? Well, you don't meet business objectives. You may just achieve some project objectives, right? Deadlines, cost overruns, poor quality, rework, unsatisfied customers, loss of reputation. Okay, so we don't really find an ideal project where you have only this and not this, isn't it? Normally we have a mix of both, isn't it? So what is methodology? We have two methods, traditional methods, or you can call them waterfall methods, and agile methods. Okay. So if you have whichever method it is, if you have a method, it gives you an approach. Okay. It tells you how to plan, how to monitor actual project performance in relation to the plan, and find out how to stick to the plan, how to understand why a particular variance happened, and how to stick to the plan. That is called controlling. Okay, so a methodology helps you in planning, then monitoring the actual results, and also controlling it. Okay. So these are typical constraints. You must be quite familiar. Typically, classical constraints are time, cost, scope. Within these three constraints, you have quality, isn't it? Quality comes with cost. Quality takes time. Quality is work, isn't it? Therefore, within time, cost, and scope, these are classical constraints. This is represented by schedule, this one by budget, and this one by WBS. Okay, we'll discuss later on. So within these constraints, you can have quality, fine. So most of the time, project manager balances these constraints. If he accepts work, extra work, it'll take longer time and it'll consume more budget, isn't it? So how do you manage these triple constraints? No? And the other ones were later on added, like resource, risk, and so on. Typically, it is cost, time, cost, and quality, right? Yeah. See, at the end of each topic, we'll have some quizzes. So my suggestion is you make an effort to answer these quizzes. If you don't get through, it doesn't matter. Okay, there are no negative marks here. Okay, so you have to type your answers on the chat box. I'll read out. Okay, so each one has you have to type the answers. Now, whatever you do would be brilliant because you have not read PMBOK even once, and you're listening to my discussion for the first time. So whatever you answer, will be brilliant. Okay, so keep answering. Okay, no matter. So yes, Sandeep B, all of you please start answering. Gulam B, Binoy B, yeah, Abhay B, then Mr. Reddy B, Karthikeyan B, another Edureka guest B. Yeah, Geet says it would be a D. Okay, right. Motion B, let's see what the answer is. See, which of the following is a project? See, sending weekly report is a day-to-day thing, isn't it? That's not a project, that's operations. Periodical quality audit. Well, it will tell you it's periodical, so it is not project, it is operations. Selling product through e-commerce website, that is also operations. Okay. Revamping office interiors is project because it is unique. You have a project that you have to go gather requirements, deliver. Okay, so that's why revamping office interiors is not unique, and you call that a project. Okay, all others are repetitive; they are operations. Fine. Yeah, you have yeah, Rakesh. Good morning, Rakesh. You joined a bit late. Yes.
Yeah, good
Yes.
morning, Ramesh. I've joined a little bit late. I
And
was
it's
not
okay.
having the. Yeah, thank
Fine.
you. Just for
Welcome.
bye. Yeah.
Okay. So yeah, Rakesh, can you? Yeah, thank you, Rakesh, for self-muting. Yes.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah. Yeah. Rakesh, can you kindly self-mute? You can click on. Yeah. Thank you so much, Rakesh. Yes. So you have to mute it yourself because if I mute it, every time you ask a question, I have to go and search where you are. That takes longer time. Okay. So you can self-mute yourself, and every time you raise a question, you can raise your hand and I'll answer it. Fine. Which of the following is not true for a project? Don't worry if you don't get the answers right. Just make an effort. That's itself brilliant, I'm telling you. Motion B, guess B, Ritesh D, I'm sorry, Shushma D, then Gulam D, Geet D, Guest D, Binoy D. Well, All of you are right. I think sometimes it is not temporary. Well, that is not true. Always projects temporary. It has got a start date, end date. You cannot continue a project forever. Okay. So it is not true that it is at times not temporary. It has to be always be temporary. Okay. Somebody else also answered. Guest D, fine. I'm sorry I have to call you guest because I can't make out from the chat box. Okay, your real name. Yeah. So now let's look into what are projects, programs, portfolios, fine, and operations management. See, I'll straight away take you to this picture. Can you look at this? Can you see this? See, I have a question for you. Who is the most important stakeholder in an organization? Can somebody guess? CEO. Sandeep says CEO. Okay. Well, that's a very important stakeholder. Without CEO blessings, we can't really be in an organization. That's great, Sandeep. You're right. But customer, okay. End users. Mohin says end users. Binoy says customer. Customers and client. Okay. Guest says customer. Rakesh says project sponsor. Fine. All these are correct in various forms. See, the one person who gives us money to run projects is the most important stakeholder, isn't it? Who are they? They are shareholders, they are owners, they are customers, the people who give us money. Okay. So what do they give us? They give us money. In return, what do they want? They want more money, bigger money. Okay. This is small money they gave us, they want bigger money. Okay. So you give them bigger money, they want even more bigger money. So you give them even more bigger money, they want even more bigger money. So is there a way to satisfy them? Is there a limit? No. We have to give them more and more and more and more. Okay. What happens if we don't give them? Well, some other company would give them and they'd automatically sell the shares here and go to that company, isn't it? So our most important stakeholder, we might say a lot of things like customer, custom team members, all these are all stakeholders, fine. But most of the time we are spending time and money in satisfying these guys. So what is this? This is called as return on investment. They want better and better return on investment. So how can an organization bring about better returns on investment? Well, for them, strategic analysis is very important. See, let's say this is an organization. You have the top management here. Okay, what do they do? Well, they look at a lot of unstructured information that's available outside. You call them big data, no? A lot of things that are happening outside. You have evolving regulatory changes that can give you new problems, new opportunities. It could be emerging technologies which could give you new opportunities, or it could pose challenge to you if some other company was to embrace it before you can do that, right? Then innovation happening outside. Okay, the new companies coming into the fold, so that could actually reduce your market share, isn't it? You might be a dominant player. A large number of companies coming inside might reduce your market share. Or new laws which will require you to modify your products, meet new benchmarks, isn't it? So a lot of things keep happening outside. So what happens outside is called a change, and what happens inside is your ability to respond to those changes. So what is happening inside is not change. Rather, what is happening inside is your ability, your capability to respond to those changes. Okay, so you have to constantly look out for what is happening outside. And if you have to be in the market, you have to introduce what the market wants. You have to drop some of the existing products. You have to introduce new products, modify existing products. So this is called as strategic management. Now, this strategic management gets you money. The process of getting more money is called portfolio management. That is selecting the right type of industry, the right type of products, right type of clients, so that you could maximize your return on investment is what is called as portfolio management. Okay, so it could be like adding a new line of business in the organization. Okay, all these are portfolio management, maximizing ROI. Now, how can you improve your ROI? You have to come with new products, modify existing products, new services, and you might have to do things like flattening your organization so that you respond more efficiently to happenings outside, okay, in relation to your competitors. So we have portfolio, which is focused on maximizing your return on investment. That is, in this case, let's say Edireka wants to launch a product for school education. First time, there's a big market out there in school education. You don't have big market players there. It wants to launch school education. So there is a big portfolio opportunity, right? So what does it do? Well, it'll conduct a project. It'll consider a project to make a market research. It checks viability. Then it comes up with programs. You have a program for content development, program for application development, program for marketing. So what is a program? Program is a collection of projects. See, under content development, you have class 1 content development, class 2 content development. So they're logically grouped as one program. Then you have to come up with application development, web, iOS, Android. So you have one program, and under them you have 3 projects. Then marketing, product launch, new market development. So under one program, you have 2 projects, isn't it? So what do you find here? You find portfolio. Under portfolio, you may have some standalone projects which are not part of any program. Okay. Then under portfolio, you have programs. Under programs, you have logically related projects. Okay. Now, portfolio management, we know it is an art of maximizing return on investment. What is program management? Program management is about managing projects in a concerted manner. Managing projects in a manner that gives you significant benefits, which you will not manage, which you will not have if you manage projects as individual projects. See, class 1 and class 2 content, they have a logical relationship. Okay, you may have the same, you may have common instructors, you may have common curriculum, something like that, isn't it? I can give you another example. Let's say you have 3 projects. One project is for manufacturing a satellite, the other one is for launching a satellite, and the third project is for sending and receiving signals, ground signals. Okay, so these might have common interfaces, common technology, common dependencies, common timelines, common delivery dates, common risks, isn't it? So you have to manage them in a concerted manner. It is like a charioteer running a 5-horse chariot. What happens if each horse runs in a different speed? There'll be a lot of disharmony. So a program manager is like some sort of a charioteer, medieval charioteer. He'll be running all the projects simultaneously in a coordinated manner, the same speed. If one is cantering, all will canter. If one horse is galloping, all the horses will gallop. Okay, so they have common goals, common deadlines, and so on. So unless you manage them as a program, you will not have benefits. You cannot manage them as individual projects. So that is what is called as program management. Okay, so if in the 3 projects I was telling satellite manufacturing, launching, and sending and receiving signals, what happens if you come with an excellent satellite? Well, that project might be a success. What happens if you're launching an excellent satellite? Well, that is also a success. But when you send signals and receive signals, well, it doesn't happen. Something goes wrong. What does it mean? The third project is a failure. But collectively, the program as a whole is a failure. Unless all the projects in a program succeed, you cannot call the program success. So are you able to understand how you organize stuff into portfolio, programs, and projects? Okay. Now, let's go back to the earlier slide. Yeah. So Projects within programs or portfolios are a means of achieving organizational goals, often in the context of strategic plan. What is a strategic plan we're discussing? Maximizing ROI. Okay. Programs and project management focuses on doing programs and projects the right way. Portfolio management focuses on doing the right program. That is one that gives you the maximum ROI is the right program. Okay. That is portfolio decisions relating to choosing the right industry. You have to decide which industry gives me the highest returns. I'll be focusing on that. See, as far as the shareholders are concerned, well, they don't have any infatuation with any industry. Okay. For them, it's only money. Whether you put it in petrochemicals or media, it doesn't matter to them. So as a portfolio guy, you must rejig your money between different industries and within the industry between different projects. The projects that give you the highest return, well, that's where you have to focus your attention on. We have to put more people, more resources on, isn't it? That's why a lot of times you find that we might be doing extremely well in the project, but suddenly you'll get an axe. You might say, well, stop the project for the next 3 months. Well, you might be wondering what's happening. Well, it might have lost its portfolio priority. Okay. So portfolio management aligns with portfolios with organizational strategies by selecting the right programs or projects, prioritizing the work, and providing the required resources. That is, you put money, your people, your material resources in the ones that pay you the highest returns. Program management harmonizes its program components. What are the components? Components themselves are projects, no? So it harmonizes program components and controls interdependence in order to realize specified benefits. Project management enables achievement of organizational goals and objectives. That is, this is portfolio, program, project. Okay. Not to worry, we'll be discussing all these. Yeah. So Geet has a question. Program can be called as bigger project consisting of sub-projects. See, that's a very interesting question. Can a big project be called as program? Well, if you have a lot of sub-projects, you can call that a program. Yeah, there is no hard and fast rule. You can break them down into smaller and smaller projects in order to have more control. Okay, you can do that. That's not a problem. See, but one thing is, if you want to group projects into a program, there should be value. There should be value in combining projects into program. There should be common risks, common dependencies, common deadlines. There should be a lot of commonality. There should be value in combining them. You cannot just put a few projects into one program without any interdependence, without common risk. See, sometimes you might find that, you'll find a designation called accounts manager, no? You might have one accounts manager dealing with client A, client B, client C, and so on. Okay. Well, there is no relationship between these three clients. Or you might be having 10 projects for the client. 3 might be in infrastructure, 3 might be in aerospace. Okay. So just because you have an accounts manager, can you combine all the projects under the accounts manager as a program? No. See, that accounts manager type of a designation is something to manage relationships with clients. It has nothing to do with program delivery. Okay. So there should be value in combining projects into program. If there is value, then you can combine. Otherwise, you cannot have a program. That's very, very important. Okay. Yeah. Yeah, we've discussed this. The same thing is stated here: portfolio, project, program, and under program you have projects. Okay. So portfolio is a collection of projects or programs and other work that are grouped together to facilitate effective management of that work to meet strategic business objectives, right? What is strategic? Program is a collection of projects that are interrelated, interdependent. Okay. So multiple interrelated projects can be called as program. Fine. Now, see, portfolio review and adjustments. So you have a strategy, isn't it? We have a strategy. Then based on the strategy, we take portfolio value decisions. What are these value decisions? What is value? Return on investment is value, isn't it? So you take decisions on putting money on which project, which program, and so on, isn't it? That is value decision. And this value decision gets converted into programs, project, okay? Then, I mean, program, project, results, delivery, isn't it? So you have a strategy and you put your money in different portfolios, and under the portfolios you have programs and projects. They start delivering results. Once you deliver results, who uses them? For example, you come with a new type of banking application. Who uses the banking application? Bank uses it. So what is the name for that? That is called operations, banking operations will use it. Then what happens? Banking operations gets you money, isn't it? Now there is value performance analysis. So you constantly, this provides feedback to strategy. Okay. Should you make the project results, program results, should you fine tune them? It provides feedback. Then again it strategizes, and it goes on and on and on. Okay, this way. Okay. And this is business impact analysis. Okay, it should actually be serving your business benefits, right? We'll be discussing a lot of things today, okay? So don't be overawed. Just listen to the recordings again. You'll find it very comfortable. It looks like there is a question. Yeah, Motion has a question. RO and value performance are the same. See, value performance, most of the time, 99% of the time, everything turns out to be ROI. Oh, I'm sorry. See, you can organize your investable funds in industries also. For example, you might say, well, infrastructure portfolio, banking financial services portfolio, media portfolio, petrochemicals portfolio. Okay, so those portfolios are just nomenclatures. So you can fund your projects, you can prioritize a resource allocation based on these categories also. Okay, even that is possible. Okay, but value always ends up being money. Okay, so did I answer your motion? Value is money, money is value. So you might say, well, the value that I get from my organization is to stay put in a particular industry. I want to be strategically the biggest guy in that industry. Well, that is good. That is a strategic objective. Okay, you want to be number one in that industry. Well, that is strategic objective. But ultimately, it boils down to earning more money and keeping your stakeholders satisfied. Okay, Mohsin, they answer you? Right. Yes. Thanks. Now let's look into other concepts like project lifecycle, project phase, project gate, project management processes, process groups. I'll explain all these to you one by one. Okay. Just understand in a relaxed manner. Try to understand bits and pieces. Don't try to, I mean, don't get overawed by all these terminologies. We'll be discussing this during the next 8 days. Okay, you will get familiar, not to worry, right? What is project life cycle? See, all of us have life cycles, We are neonatal period, first 1 month, then we have childhood, then adolescence, and so on, isn't it? Like that, projects also have life cycle. Like when you start a project, you call that initiation, okay? In initiation, then you have, based on this initiation, a planning process, okay? Then after planning process, you do execute the plan, you have execution process. Once you execute, you have the results of the plan or the results of your execution, no? You compare with the plan and you find what went wrong with the actual results, You can call that monitoring phase. So like that, projects also have life cycle, okay, from start to completion. Okay, that is project life cycle. And you have phases. So you have a logically related group of activities, you can call them phase. For example, requirement phase. What do you do in requirement phase? You gather requirements, document requirements, get a sign off, isn't it? So you have 3 activities, that we discussed. So they are logically related as one project phase. Then It could, after that, what happens? It becomes design, no? Then it becomes development, then testing. They're all phases, you can call them design phase, development phase, testing phase. Now, at the end of each phase, you will have a phase gate. What is a phase gate? See, every time you produce a deliverable, the deliverable has to be reviewed, For example, at the end of requirement phase, what happens? You come with requirement documentation, isn't it? Different requirements, business requirement, interface requirements, quality requirements, So you get a sign off. How do you get a sign off from stakeholders? They review. You make a formal walkthrough. Then they give you a sign off. Or they may review and they may ask you to make changes. Whatever it is, you have a phase gate. So at the end of each phase, you'll have a phase gate. Then you get a sign off, and organization takes the decision to go to the next phase or not. Should we go to the next phase? Should we go to the next phase after modifying the existing phase results? Or should we wait for some other phase to happen and some other program level component so that this could be synchronized now? Or are our results so incongruous with what we planned that we should actually scrap the project? Anything is possible. Okay. You take decisions about going to the next phase. You call that kill phase, exit gate, whatever it is, right? Go, no go decision phase and review. Okay. So these are all the different names, right? Go, no go decision. Okay. These are all. So at the end of each phase, you have a phase gate. Then you take a decision to go to the next. Only then you'll get funding also for next project, next phase, right? Without funding, you cannot schedule anything. So a lot of things happen, isn't it? Phase gate. So if you have frequent phase gates, what happens is you can make frequent course corrections. Okay, let's say you have different phases. Any variances, you can immediately have a course correction and you can stay closer to the objective, isn't it? What happens if you don't have a phase gate? You'll know at the end of the project life cycle that, well, something went wrong at the very initial stage. You should have corrected then, which you did not. It becomes too expensive. You have to do a lot of undo, and then do, redo, isn't it? So the more frequent you have a phase gate, the more sure that you remain close to the project objectives, right? Project management processes we'll be discussing. There are 49 processes. We'll be discussing them one by one, right? Then project management process groups. See, when you start a project, you come with a project charter. Since you do that at the very beginning, you call it initiation. Okay. Then based on the project charter, you start your planning. So you call the planning phase. Now that you have a plan, you execute, you call that execution phase. So like that, you not only have project processes, you have project process groups. There are totally 5 process groups: initiation, planning, execution, monitoring and controlling, closing. What is closing? Closing is when you close a project phase or a project altogether. Say at the end of the requirement phase, what happens? You close the requirement phase and transition the results to design phase, isn't it? Or it could happen at the end of the project. The project was constituted to come with a new application functionality. Well, you have delivered the application, the project is over, isn't it? So you have closing phase. Okay. So you have processes, 5 process groups. We'll discuss them later on, right? Then project management knowledge areas. See, it is like this. See, you'll have on this side, you have 49 processes. They're classified under initiating, planning, execution, monitoring and controlling, closing. Okay. And the same processes, these 49 processes, they are also discussed under knowledge areas, sideways. Okay. This could be like planning, and this could be like scope management, schedule management, cost management, quality management, risk management, and so on. Okay. Well, just understand that you could discuss a process either under a process group, depending on when in a project lifecycle you're performing it, or you can also discuss this under a knowledge area. Okay. For example, if you're gathering scope, well, you're doing it under planning process, isn't it? You're doing it in scope management knowledge area. Okay. So you have some sort of a bi-directional interpretation of a particular process, Okay, so we'll discuss this when you actually go there. Okay, digest them very slowly. Okay, then that's what I was telling you. You have process groups: initiating, planning, executing, monitoring, and controlling, closing. So you can see these are all phase gates. Can you see these are all phase gates? This is a phase gate. This is a phase gate. So at the end of each phase, we review the deliverables and take a decision to go to the next phase or not. Okay, and there are 10 knowledge areas, and so on. We'll slowly unravel all these, right? Yeah. So let's come to the next concept: project lifecycle. Like I was telling you, like we people, we have life cycle stages. Projects also have life cycle. Okay, so right from initiation to closure, you divide them into phases. Well, what phase? When you call a phase as over, that depends on the industry. For example, if you're in a construction industry, it could be something like this: feasibility. What if it's a construction? It could be like getting regulatory approval for construction. That could be one phase, regulatory phase. Second phase could be laying foundation. Third phase could be building superstructure. Okay. Or if it is an IT, well, you could have a different phase like requirement gathering, design, development, testing, deployment. If it's instrumentation engineering, some of your instrumentation engineers also here, isn't it? It could be like gathering requirements, then coming up with prototypes, isn't it? So it all depends. You'll have phases, okay, whichever industry you are in. Okay, so it all depends on unique aspects of organization, industry, or technology. It provides a basic framework for managing the project. Okay, so this is for IT software: construction, feasibility, planning, production, turnover; pharmaceuticals, discovery, preclinical development, registration workup, post submission. Discovery screening could actually take 5 years, 7 years. Okay, right? And after this, they may review. They may have a phase end review. They will review the results. If they feel that, well, we are not going to be able to discover any formula, results are not going anywhere, absolutely no chance of success, they will scrap it. Even after 5 to 7 years, they may scrap it. That is why in pharmaceutical industries, if you explore 100 ideas, 1 or 2 might succeed, isn't it? The profit from 1 or 2 of these ideas might be so profitable it might subsidize the losses from others. Okay, so then if you succeed, you will go for preclinical development, then you'll register your patent, and so on. Okay, then IT, we're all quite familiar with this. Okay, it all depends. Yeah, now there is another way of looking at it. It's the same thing being looking at a different way. So let's say you're looking at a coconut tree, right? You're looking at it from a first floor. Well, it's very tall, right? Then you go to the 10th floor of the building. From that, you'll be looking down upon it. Okay, not looking up. That's what it is. You're looking at projects, project phases in different ways. Like that. You can also look at projects as sequential projects or overlapping projects. What do you mean? Sequential is complete project A, then project B, project C, project D. You completely wait for results of project A, and based on the results, you go to project B. Then based on the results of project B, you go to project C, or you can say project phases. You can also call it phases or projects, whatever. Okay, it happens sequentially, right? A phase can start only once a previous phase is complete. Overlapping, well, you don't wait for project A to complete. Once 80% of the project A is complete, you go for project B. Then 80% of project B is over, you go to project C, and so on. Okay. So now there is a big risk here in overlapping. What happens if you start project B without waiting for complete results of project A? Let's say you're in testing phase. This is development phase. Okay. Now, once 80% of the code is ready, you start testing it. But at the end of phase A, Well, the developer decides that he has made some mistakes. He wants to make changes to the code. What happens for B? Well, B has to repeat testing for those phases, for those development work that has been already tested, no? Okay. So the big problem with doing things in overlapping manner is that it increases risk of rework. Okay. Why? Because without waiting for the results of the earlier phase, you start at the next phase. And if there's any change in the earlier phase, you have to make changes to subsequent phase also. Okay. But the advantage is you can fast track. You can complete the project faster. Here it takes you longer time because you're sequencing it one after the other exactly in a very strict manner. Okay. You don't have a risk of rework here. But the advantages, but the disadvantages, it may take longer because you don't do fast tracking. Okay, it may take longer, isn't it? So you can look at projects, either a sequential project or overlapping project. Then what is project and what is product? See, this is project lifecycle: initiating, planning, executing, closing. Is it monitoring and controlling? What about a product? See, let's say you first introduce a product, right? You don't have anyone there in the market. You're the only guy. Okay, so you have a big market share. It's growing gradually. It's growing, right? And during growth phase, what happens is a lot of other market players start coming in. Initially, it is only you. Now a lot of other companies, right? A, B, C, D, F, all the other companies coming in because there is a big profit, right? Then after some time, the product matures. Matures in the sense it is no longer profitable to enter the industry because the existing space is overcrowded. There is no new research, there is no new funds, therefore no new research, and the product starts maturing. Then it starts declining and it is eventually retired. Okay, so this is a product life cycle. But in real life, you might find very few products which actually retire until it is something like pager technology, which you saw, it got retired really. How often do you find applications introduced into your production server and they get retired? They don't, isn't it? AMC after AMC, you just keep on renewing. You don't retire, isn't it? How? Because you don't allow this mature. You come with new product feature. For example, when you had credit card, it was not credit card, it was just a debit card. Okay. So when debit card is introduced first by Diners Club, a lot of other banks started joining. So market was about to mature. Then they said, okay, let's not allow this to mature. Let's modify this product. Let's introduce credit card out of this. For the first time, you had credit card. Okay, right? Then somebody said, then again, that also started maturing. Since somebody else said, okay, let me introduce some sort of a cashback. Well, that company wanted to stay in the market, so it improved the product. It didn't allow that to retire. Well, everyone started offering cashback. Then somebody said, okay, let me convert this credit card withdrawal into EMI. I'll convert this into loan. Okay, so that's how we are, products don't really get retired, isn't it? By innovation, you just keep on renewing it. So you have different phases in a product life cycle. So every time you want to come with a new product modification, you go to projects. So are you able to understand the relationship between project lifecycle and product lifecycle? Product lifecycle is about keeping the product alive by making innovations, improvements. Therefore, every time you make an update to a product, you need to come with a new project. Okay. Yeah. Yes. Answer this. Please make an effort. Don't worry if you don't get them right. You're working to finalize the lifecycle model of a project that you're managing. Which of the following will not be a phase in the lifecycle? Not a phase. Guess B, Sandeep B, Moshin B, then Sushma Sushma B, Binoy B, Guest B, Geet B, Karthikeyan B, Natalie. Natalie, who is this for the first time I'm seeing? Oh, welcome, Natalie. You're a bit late today? Fine. I'm unmuting you. You please self-mute. Okay, Natalie?
Yes, hello, good evening. Sorry, I joined late, so
That's
based
fine.
on
Doesn't matter.
time,
No problem. No
time zone.
problem. It's okay. Please self-mute. Yeah. You can click on that mic symbol. It'll self-mute. Do you
Okay.
find a, yeah. Yeah. If you have any questions, you can unmute and talk to me. Yeah. Rakesh, you too welcome. You're not there when we started? Yeah. Okay.
Yes, Ramesh, I was a little bit late.
No problem. Right. So, okay. So the answer to this question is contract finalization. All of you answered it very well. Okay. You have excellent understanding of this topic. Right. Now, you're the project manager for creating a prototype of a car, and the prototype is accepted by the management. Now the car is being manufactured. This state is, yes, guess B, then Gulam A, Natalie B, Motion C, Karthikeyan B, guest C, Rakesh B. Well, Geet B. Well, what's the project? What's the question? You're the project manager creating a prototype. Now the car is being manufactured. So this state is operations C. In order to develop a prototype, there are some activities you do, like requirement gathering, defining scope, coming up with a budget, schedule, then conducting meetings with the team members, stakeholders. So all these activities are required. Then designing, all these activities are required to do prototype. So only these activities are called as projects. But once a prototype is accepted by the company or the factory, just based on the prototype, without making any changes to the prototype, they start manufacturing. This prototype could be prototype for a pen, it could be for a car. Okay. So the process of manufacturing is day to day, it is operations. They can only manufacture as per the prototype. Any change to the prototype they cannot do. They have to come back to you for project changes. Okay. So now the car is being manufactured. This manufacturing process is called as operations. Okay. It is not project. So what is project? Project is all this: requirements, schedule, budget, meeting. Is it clear? Are you able to understand the difference between operations and projects? Operations are day to day. Operations use results of projects. Operations cannot do anything new, but projects are always unique. Okay, fine. Now, okay. Manufacturing is a mass production where output is not unique and similar set of activities gets repeated over and over again. No progressive elaboration. What is progressive elaboration? We'll say that later on. Fine. Which of the following is an example of portfolio management? Karthikeyan C, Guest C, Ritesh C, I'm sorry, it is Sushma C, Gulam C, Natalie C, Guest C. Well, all if you understood this concept very well, the answer is C, exactly, right? Managing budget of multiple projects within a program, that is program management, isn't it? Obtain benefits not available by managing individual projects, well, that is also program management. So the answer is C. Portfolio management is C, right? So these are the types of development life cycle. Earlier we looked into projects from a phase point of view, sequential, okay, overlapping, like that. From a methodology perspective, we can also look into project life cycle. Okay, see, the first one is called predictive. We must all be quite familiar with this method. Most of us would be working in waterfall projects or predictive life cycle projects. What does it mean? See, you talk to the business, gather requirements, then from the requirements we come with the scope, isn't it? Then we get this scope frozen. Then out of this scope, we come with the schedule. Then for the schedule, we come with a budget. Well, all these happen very early in the project. That is, you gather requirements, then you don't go back to requirements, isn't it? Right? Then based on the requirements, you do the next designing, development, testing, and so on. When do you actually go and meet the stakeholder? When you do a formal walkthrough, isn't it? Isn't it? Not before that. So you have very episodic engagements with the stakeholders. Therefore, you compel the stakeholders to predict what they want to see at the end of 1 year or 2 years, depending on the life of a project. Okay, so that's called as predictive life cycle. Everything is predicted. Your scope is predicted. Out of that, you come with an upfront schedule, you come with upfront budget. Then you manage changes very, very carefully. You don't generally accept changes unless they're absolutely required. Okay, so these are called as waterfall cycles. Why do you call them waterfall? It is like this: you first gather requirements, then you don't go back, then you go for design, then development, and so on. You call this waterfall, right? In adaptive refers to agile methodologies. See, here what happens is the detailed scope is defined and approved before the start of the iteration. See, here, let's say the project is to run for 2 years or 1 year for that matter. You schedule all activities for that particular 1 year, or at least milestones for the particular 1 year. For the first 6 months, you may come with detailed activities, and beyond 6 months, you may just have milestones. Okay, so you know what the start dates, what the end dates are of all the activities, what the constraints you have to meet, what are the resource requirements for these activities. Okay, you come with budget, schedule, everything, isn't it, for the entire 1 year. In adaptive lifecycle, you have time box iterations of 1 week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 4 weeks, in some cases even 5 weeks. Okay, so these iterations end at the end of this iteration period. You call the time box because you cannot extend the iteration for any reason. If you're not able to develop something that you planned for in that particular iteration, well, you close the iteration. Maximizing, I mean, well, you take a value-based decisions on which one to develop, which one not to develop, which one to drop. Okay, so you call that adaptive because you come up with small increments. You take small increments to the market, get a feedback from the market, then adapt to the feedback from the market and go for the next increment. So since you're adapting to the changes that are happening in the market, changes that are happening in the stakeholders' requirements, you call that adaptive life cycle. Predictive life cycles are plan driven. That is, you come with detailed plans and most of your attention is focused on sticking to those plans, keeping changes as minimal as possible to these plans. Okay, so the focus is on keeping the plan, managing the constraints, and so on, right? In adaptive, it is not like this. It is change driven. Change driven in the sense, it is not plan driven. Predictive projects are plan driven. They are driven by the plan. Focus is on meeting the plan, sticking to the plan, finding out what the variances are from the plan, and trying to understand why this variance happened and coming back to the plan. Okay, but here it is change driven. You allow the customer to take maximum advantage of the changes happening in the market. You never say no to any change. It's not a business. Product owner, who represents the organizational stakeholders, decides what you have to develop in that particular iteration. It is not the project manager, it's the product owner who decides. So you can take complete advantage of changes happening in the market. You allow the competitor customer to harness technology, harness latest changes in the market. Okay, that is adaptive, right? In hybrid, you may have a combination of both. In some projects, some components could be predictive, some components be adaptive. Even that is possible. Okay, for example, you are manufacturing a Boeing engine or a Boeing plane. Okay, small components of this could be adaptive. Okay, but major components could be waterfall. So those are called as hybrid, right? Then iterative, incremental. What do they mean? What is iteration? Iteration is performing the same operations again and again, isn't it? Requirements, design, development, testing, release, like this. The same process is performed iteration after iteration. You call this iterative life cycle. Now, there's a difference between iterative life cycle project. Then what is increment? See, increment refers to producing something at the end of each iteration. Iteration 1, iteration 2, 1 plus 1, iteration 3, 2 plus 1, iteration 4, 3 plus 1, iteration 5, 4 plus 1. So you come with some incremental features that is called as incremental. Okay, and this is what you mean by increment. Now, there are two situations. Let us say you're manufacturing a Boeing plane. There are a lot of things in a Boeing plane, like you have fuselage, then you have cockpit, you have navigation system, dorsal fins, wings, radar systems, a lot of things are there. Unless all these things are manufactured and unless you're able to test, unless you're able to fly a fully functional aircraft, you will not get an airworthiness certificate, no? That is, you may come with increments. In increment 1, you may come with a fuselage. In increment 2, you may come with a fuselage plus navigation system. In increment 3, you may come with fuselage and navigation system plus wings. But the final capability to fly the aircraft happens only when you come with the last increment, isn't it? Right? Now, the deliverable is produced through a series of iterations that successfully add functionality within a predetermined time frame. That is called incremental. Project scope is generally determined early in the project. Iterations develop the product through a series of repeated cycles. Increments successfully add to the functionality of the product. So are you able to understand the difference? Okay. So iterative means repeating the same processes again and again. Incremental means adding functionalities one by one. Okay. Now, you may have two situations. In one situation, you do not get a final capability unless you deliver the last increment. In another situation, you may come up with small increments and each of these increments can be taken out to the market. Anything is possible. Okay, so this is something that you should understand. Okay, so you could have predictive lifecycle projects, you could have adaptive lifecycle projects, you could have iterative lifecycle projects and incremental lifecycle projects. Iterative and increment can be combined. When iterative and increment is combined, well, you might have a situation where you'll get a final capability only after the last increment is developed. Or it is also possible that if you're using iterative and incremental in combination with adaptive lifecycle, you may take out small increments to the market. Okay, but if you're using iterative and incremental lifecycle in combination with predictive lifecycle, you might get a final capability only at the end of the project lifecycle. Are you able to understand this? Let me repeat this to you again and again. Iterative refers to performing the same processes again and again. Okay, incremental refers to adding successive features to a product. If you are adopting iterative lifecycle and incremental lifecycle in combination with predictive lifecycle, you can develop final capability for a product only after the last increment is over, like the Boeing. Just remember, Boeing, unless all the parts are ready, you cannot really fly them. Okay. But if you're using iterative and incremental in combination with adaptive, agile, what it means is at the end of each iteration, you may come with some potentially shippable increment, which you can take to the market and make money. Okay, so there is a difference you should understand. Okay, now any questions on this? So motion as a question, in a way, iterative is always combined with the incremental, or can iterative be a standalone? No, see, iterative means performing the same process again and again. And can it be combined with incremental? Well, if you want to have products taken out in a series, if you want to add subsequent increment and you want to have product features added in each increment, then you have to go for iterative and incremental. Okay. See, the point we have to understand is if you are using iterative and incremental in combination with predictive lifecycle, you will not get a final product until the last increment is over. But if you're using iterative and incremental in combination adaptive lifecycle, what it means is you can have a potentially shippable increment. That is, it is market ready. If the product owner wants, he can take it out to the market and make money out of it. Okay, and he can adapt to the changes based on the feedback that he gets from the market. Yeah, Mohsin, did I answer you? Yeah, you're right. You can have incremental. Yes. Yeah. So yeah. So he has a further question. In case of iterative, what is the output of each iteration? Full feature set? No, you do not get a final capability unless you deliver the last product. Yes, and unless you get the last feature. See, iterative means it means repeating the same process again and again. That is what it means. Okay, that is called iteration. Doing the same process again and again. Design, development, testing. Incremental is adding small features at the end of each iteration. Okay, so this iteration to increment can be combined with predictive or adaptive. Okay, so the question is, when will you get final capability? There is a question. Well, it depends on what type of project management methodology you adopt. If you're adopting waterfall methodology, well, you cannot see the final product until the last increment is over. But if you're using an agile methodology, you can take a small increment out to the market at the end of each iteration. Mohsin, did I answer you? Fine. Yes, welcome. Now let's go to the next question. We discussed about phase gate, same thing is done here. Okay, what is a phase gate? Phase actually consists of a set of processes you perform and you create a deliverable, isn't it? And the phase gate is used to review this deliverable. Who reviews it? The stakeholders review it with the project team members, isn't it? Then they take a decision whether to go ahead or not, isn't it? So these are examples of phase gates. Business case. What are business cases? We'll learn later on. Okay, business case is a document that provides a business justification for a project. We'll discuss about this later on. Business case is a phase gate. Then based on business case, you come with a project charter. There is a phase gate. So unless a project charter is signed off, you cannot go to the project management plan. Okay, these are all different phase gates. Then based on which a decision is made to continue to the next phase, continue the next phase with modification, or end the project. Okay, or remain in the phase. Why should you remain in the phase? Might be you might have to synchronize your project progress with some other program level component. We don't know, right? Or repeat the phase. Well, you may have to rework something, so you have to repeat. Okay, so you have a phase gate and you take decisions at the end of each phase, right? Yeah, so we look into project management processes. So what is this process? See, I'll give an example. Let's say, I mean, you have 49 processes, I told you, no? Okay, these are all the way you perform. I mean, each process is described in a particular template by PMP. That is, you have an input, output, tools, and techniques. I'll give an example. Let's say you have a process called make coffee. Okay, let's assume, right? So if the make coffee is a process, what are the inputs for it? Sugar, isn't it? Then cream, then coffee powder. These are all inputs, no? What are the tools and techniques? Tools could be stove, okay, tools and techniques, okay? You'll be using stove. Then the technique you'll be using is boiling, isn't it? Then filtering, all these, tools and techniques. So what is the output? Output is coffee, isn't it? Cups and cups of hot coffee, right? We'd all like to have, right? So this is a template which PMBOK uses to describe all the processes. A lot of people have a question. Should we commit these processes to memory? Should they have them by heart? Well, you don't have to. It's not feasible also, right? Because it's not going to really help you. But understand why you have a particular output in a process. If you understand why a particular process as an output, then you'll understand what should go into the process as input and what the tools and techniques are, right? So try to understand in a logical manner. Don't try to commit anything to memory. It doesn't work. You will not get direct questions like what are the inputs, what are the outputs, what are the tools and techniques, and so on. Okay, so keep it very light. Don't tax your memory with too much of details, junk. Okay, it's not required. Now tailoring, we'll be discussing about tailoring before each process. See, you have a lot of processes covered in PMBOK. Okay, now if your project, for example, there is a process called perform quantitative analysis. We'll be learning about it later on. So that is typically adopted for very big projects, $1 billion projects employing thousands of people with long time frames. Strategically very important projects, the custom demands. Okay. But if it's some of the simpler project, we don't apply quantitative techniques at all, perform quantitative risk analysis at all. So what are we actually doing? We're trying to adapt project management to the size of the project, to the needs of the project, isn't it? Right? Then you also have to tailor in accordance with the needs of the governance structure. See, each organization has got a governance structure. See, an organization is bigger than a project. Within an organization, you might have hundreds of projects, isn't it? So something that applies to all the projects, you have a governance structure. You have a board of directors. Board of directors may lay down policies. You may have a QA board, okay, quality assurance board, okay. Then you'll have change control board. Then you have project steering committee, which applies to all the projects, which is beyond the project, isn't it? Then you have project selection committees. Then you have functional managers. Functional departments will be managing multiple projects within an organization. So you have to adopt processes, adopt templates according to the size of the organization, according to the requirements of the governance structure. Okay. For example, if you have to make changes to a template, PMO has to permit. Certain things you can do it yourself. Certain things only PMO has to permit. Okay. So as a project manager, you have to make sure you can tailor the processes and you have appropriate institutions in place to let you do the tailoring process, like having governance structures and so on, right? And it is done in a collaborative manner. Collaborate with whom? Collaborate with people in organization, people in governance structures, and so on, okay? So you have to tailor project management methods to suit them and provide additional tailoring guidelines for individual projects, okay? So what these tailoring considerations are, we'll discuss from topic to topic. Generally, at this point of time, understand what tailoring is. Tailoring is making changes to the artifacts, to the templates, to the processes according to the size of the project, according to needs of the organization, according to the dictates of the governance institutions within an organization, and so on. Okay. Then processes. I told you there are some 49 processes. Okay. Now, well, these are all numbers. How many processes you have initiating, planning? Well, we don't have to break our heads on this. It's of academic importance, right? it doesn't really mean anything to us. It's just some sort of a, what do you call, a summary, right? Okay. You can also call them as domains. Okay. There are 49 processes mapped to 5 process groups. We'll be discussing all this, not to worry. Take it very slowly. Okay. Yeah. So these are all the different knowledge areas. I'll give you a very brief overview of about these knowledge areas tomorrow when we discuss about project management plan. Okay. Just now, but right now, understand that these are all the knowledge areas: integration, scope, schedule, cost, quality, and so on. And in all these knowledge areas, these are all the number of processes we'll be performing. Okay. Again, this is of very academic importance to you. It doesn't really matter. Okay. You don't have to commit any of these to memory at all. So processes, there are some processes used only once or at predefined points in the project. For example, if you have to start a project, you have to do that process only once. That is develop project charter. There is a charter that brings a project into existence, right? You do it only once at the beginning of a project or close project or close phase, isn't it? You can close only as many times as you open, no? Right? Right? But some processes may have to be performed periodically, like acquiring resources, conducting procurements. Okay, what are procurements? Outsourcing. We'll discuss this. There is a knowledge area for that. We'll discuss this later on, right? And there are some processes which are performed continuously, like defining activities. So if you have to create a deliverable, you have to perform activities, no? Like if the deliverable is requirement documentation, what should you do? You have to gather requirements, conduct interviews, isn't it? Then document the requirements, review the requirements, get a sign off. Each of these are activities, no? So these activities are performed throughout. Okay. So define activities is the name of a process where you break down a deliverable into different processes which you have to perform in order to create that deliverable, isn't it? So that is called as define. They are performed, they are continuously performed. Okay. It all depends. I mean, this tells you how often a process is performed. Some processes are performed only once, some periodically, and some continuously. Okay. Now look at this. This is a very interesting slide. See, what do plans produce? So what do planning process produce? Plans, isn't it? So first let's assume there is a plan. What is a plan? Plan is like delivering a prototype. Okay, prototype for a pen. Okay. So you put this plan into action, you execute this plan. Okay. So when you execute this plan, what happens? You create a prototype, no? You create a prototype. Then the plan would also tell you how long you should take to develop a prototype. 2 weeks. There is a plan information. When you execute, you also know how long you actually took that. Well, instead of taking 2 weeks, you might have taken 3 weeks. This is called actual duration. And the plan would have said you have to spend $1,000 only. But as per after execution, you found that you spent $1,500, isn't it? Right? So you have plan data. When you execute, you create work performance data. Okay. So this work performance data is raw. Okay. Like you have just cut cubes of potatoes. You have not prepared any curry out of it. Okay. Right. So that is raw data. So 3 weeks is raw data. $1,500 that you spent is raw data. Now by itself, can you interpret anything? You cannot. So it tells you it took you 3 weeks. Does it tell you anything? It only tells you it took you 3 weeks. That's all. But how much were you supposed to take? That is 2 weeks, isn't it? So the process of contextualizing or comparing the plan with actual and arriving at variance is called as information. Data is raw, information is contextualized or compared with plan. So when you compare with plan, what do you get here? Well, you had 1 week negative variance, isn't it? Plan was 2 weeks, actual is 3 weeks, so 1 week is negative variance. What is the planned cost? Well, $1,000. Actual cost was 1,500, isn't it? So you have a negative variance of $500. So that is called as controlling process. Controlling process is where you compare plan with actual results and find out what the variances are, so that you can understand why this variance happened. Why did it take you $1,500 instead of $1,000? Well, there was something wrong with your planning process. You try to understand, why did it take 3 weeks instead of 2 weeks? Well, all the type of information you do here in WPI, work performance information, right? Now, why are we discussing all this? See, we are project managers. We have a responsibility to inform stakeholders how we are doing in different knowledge areas. How are you doing in terms of scope, in terms of time, in terms of cost, in terms of risk, in terms of quality, in terms of human resource performance? Isn't it? We need to tell stakeholders. That's why you have stakeholders review meetings happening, Not only that, you have a lot of people outside. You outsource something to vendors. You procure something from suppliers. You have to tell them what their quality performance is. So you have to compare the planned data with actual data, isn't it? Right? So in order to satisfy the stakeholders' requirements and in order for us also to know where we're heading for in the project, are we heading in the right direction? Okay, we generate work performance information. Now, this work performance information, when you communicate to stakeholders, can you send one report for schedule, one report for cost, one for scope, one for quality, one for risk? No, they'll laugh at us. They'll say, do you think we have nothing else to do? Why can't you generate one consolidated information? So that process of coming up with an overall project control is called as work performance report. This report gathers data, all the WPI, that is work performance information from different knowledge areas, combines them, synthesizes them, interprets them, comes up with change requests, comes up with recommendations, okay, and informs stakeholders what's happening. It could be internal, it could be external, it could be R&D team members, isn't it? Now, this work performance report might go to change control board. You might find that, well, you have taken $500 extra. Okay, what does it mean? Going forth, you're not going to be able to complete the project as you planned. You require extra money and you require extra time. Now, already you've consumed 1 extra week. Going forth, you may have required several more months, isn't it? So you have to go before change control board with all this work performance report and justify why this happened and what extra time, extra money you want. Once change control board approves it, well, you revise your processes, you insert new schedule activities, you redraw your budget, isn't it? Everything happens. So once again, what is revised gets executed. Now, what happens to this work performance report? They become inputs for project communications. Project communications to whom? To team members. So don't we have responsibility of informing team members how they are doing in terms of schedule performance, cost performance, risk performance, and so on? Don't we have responsibility of telling which team members are doing good in the job and what changes are likely to happen in the team members' profiles? All that we need to tell them no. Not only that, we have to talk to other stakeholders, internal, external, and so on. Okay, so this is how you generate information in a project, deal with them. Okay, you consolidate them and you discuss with stakeholders, right? So are you able to understand this? You have two types of data, work performance information. When you combine this at the overall project level, you get work performance report. Okay. Then project business documents, responsibilities. See, we'll be discussing these in depth later on, but let me tell you, project business case refers to a decision support tool. So let's say An organization has got $1 million to spend on new projects. A lot of senior managers, a lot of heads of strategic business units have come up with project requests. Somebody wants to improve the process, so he wants $10,000 for process improvement plan. Somebody wants to introduce a new technology, he wants $50,000. So a lot of organizations, I mean, a lot of department managers come with a lot of requests. So when you total them, it comes to $10 million. Well, how much funds do you have? Only one. Now, how do you decide on which project should I fund? You need to have a decision support tool, where you can apply some financial techniques, which tells the organization which one is going to fetch the highest amount, ROI, isn't it? So that is called as business case, right? Then along with business case, it is very important for you to maximize the benefits of the project deliveries. See, once you implement a project, you have to keep monitoring the results of the project. For example, you come with an application functionality. Okay, well, the marketing team would be launching it in the market, making money out of it. If you're using an agile project, you may have a lot of interim return on investment. You don't have to wait for the final deliverable. If it is a traditional project, you may have to wait for the final deliverable, isn't it? So there was a time when, as a project manager, you could just deliver results and say, well, I'm done with my job. I don't care whether the operations uses it or not. I'm just moving out to the next project. Well, those days are gone now. Now you have a responsibility to ensure that business actually starts using this project benefits. If you transition some application to operations, it is your responsibility to make sure they use it. How can you do that? You're not going to be there. So what you can do is you can come with a benefits management plan. You can appoint somebody in operations, tell the guy, see guy, this is what I'm going to deliver at the end of this month. Well, keep your marketing team ready and keep all the onboarding functionalities ready for your new customers. Okay, so you have to galvanize operations to start marketing the project benefits. So that is called as project benefits management plan. Okay, now these are called as project business documents. On the one hand, they are project documents. On the other hand, they are also business documents, because the ownership for these documents lies with the business, not with the projects, right? Now, who has to maintain these documents? Sponsor. Business case will be maintained by the sponsor. Okay, who is the sponsor? Somebody who's going to take the benefits of the project to the market, right? Then what is project manager's responsibility? Well, he'll make sure that whatever he delivers as part of the project would stand synchronized with the business case and benefits management plan. If your business case talks about something and if you're doing exactly the opposite, well, it's working at cross purpose, isn't it? So we have to look into business case. It tells you what are all the intended benefits and how these benefits are going to be translated to the operations. You have to align your entire project management processes to this business case and project benefits management plan as a project manager, but you don't have any ownership. You cannot make any changes to these documents. Rather, if at all you feel that some of these documents have to be changed, you can only recommend to the sponsor. He should make, but you don't have to make it. It is not your responsibility. Okay, are you able to understand this? Fine. Now, then this is the same thing again and again, it's repeated. Project life cycle. At the end of each phase, you have a phase gate. See, for example, you have needs assessment, business case, benefits management plan. We'll see what these plans are later on. We don't have to know them right now. I just gave you an overview. What is the business case is, what is the benefits management plan is. So what it tells you that you have a phase gate, you take a decision to go to charter, then at the end of the charter, you go to plan and so on. Okay, same thing is repeated again and again. Now, so what is a business case? Let's come to this business case. Now, like I told you, you could do strategic analysis. You can have opportunities outside or problems. For instance, you might have an application which is taken very longer time to respond to market needs. That could be a problem. Or there's an emerging technology before others join and you want to be the first person. Okay, you want to be the lead player. So that's an opportunity, isn't it? So you come with a business case saying that we want a project. This project will be able to deliver these results. These results would be used by operations and they'll make money. Okay, so this is called strategic analysis, isn't it? Looking outside the organization, right? So before you decide if a project is required at all, before you can even come with a business case, you need to perform a needs assessment. Needs assessment tells you, well, is there a need to seize this opportunity or to solve an existing problem? Okay, then you come with a decision support system. That is, you evaluate the criteria, you look into the economics and other analysis, right? What is economic? And for example, you see what is the ROI if I seize this project idea. Okay, so how long it's going to take me to get the benefits? What is the rate of interest I'm going to get back? Okay, and so on. Or also evaluation criteria, on what basis should the projects be scrutinized? Okay, so business case is done before initiating a project, facilitates measure of project success, maintains throughout the project, includes recommendations to decide to go, no go. What does it mean? See, first thing is you perform needs analysis. In needs analysis, you agree, well, I have to seize an opportunity. Then you come with the business case. Business case tells you as is, what is the current position? What is the current problem? Okay, for example, the current problem is, well, my core banking tech system is very, very rickety. It's not responding to changes happening outside. It's taking long time. There is a limit to the database structure. Well, my business is going to sink. There is a problem. To be, well, I want to be the market leader. I want to increase my market share. I want to be number one in the market. That is to be, isn't it? How do you grow from as is to be? You have to come with multiple alternatives, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So you have to shortlist multiple options in this business case and select one which in your mind is the best one and come with the justification. Okay. Once they approve it, they sign off, then you come with a project charter. Okay. Now, though you might come with a project charter based on the business case, the business case is still valid because whatever you throw at the project would have to be justified in terms of what the business case wanted, isn't it? You cannot do anything. You cannot launch a project and do something which is not what the business case wanted, right? So you have to maintain this business case throughout the project, right? And includes recommendations to decide go. Yeah, once a business case is approved, then you go for launching a project. That is, you come up with a project charter. Okay, and so on. We'll be covering all these aspects in detail later on, right? So what do you have in a business case? It gives you a business problem or an opportunity. It talks about expected value, stakeholders, and scope, right? So it performs a situational analysis. It says goals. What is goals? As is. Root cause, gap analysis, right? What is gap analysis? If I have to go from as is to be, what are the gaps? What are the gaps in terms? Like, let's say I have an existing application. Well, this application has some problems. I'm going for a new application, right? So the gap is what we don't have. Okay, you have to state what the gap is, right? Root cause, well, if it's a problem, you have to go to the root cause of the problem, right? Now we have to decide, well, for example, an application you might want some 10 potential application functionalities. Okay, within those 10 application functionalities, you must decide what is required, what is desired, what is optional. For example, I might think of a ticketing application. Okay, I might come with a business case for developing a ticketing application because I'm in a, what do you call, say, tourism industry, let's assume, right? Now, my ticketing application, what should it do? Basically, it should issue tickets. That is absolutely required, isn't it? Desired is, well, I must be able to book my hotel. I must be able to book my car. Okay, that is desired. Optional, well, it should have some weather bulletins. Okay, So that could be optional. So when you come with a business case, you might say what are all the features we want, what are required, what are desired, what are optional, so that you can prioritize. If you have enough time and money, you can go for all the three. If you don't have enough time, well, you may have to go for one or two, right? So a business case contains a situational analysis, and it gives you options or alternatives, business scenarios to consider. That is, do nothing, do the minimum work, do more than the minimum work. This is the three things I was telling you, right? A recommendation of an option along with details and implementation approach. Now you come with multiple options. You should not always say this is the only option. Definitely see who puts up business case. Somebody in the business puts up. Who approves it? PMO approves it, no? Or a chief information officer or chief technology officer. Somebody in the organization would be wielding authority to approve it, no? So when it goes before him, he will try to shoot it down in multiple ways because there are a lot of projects competing. He wants to make sure only the best ones, which answers all his questions, really get through funding, isn't it? So he'll try to shoot it down as much as possible. So you might ask you, well, is this the only way? If you say, looks like that's the only way, well, you might say, okay, think of other ways. There should definitely be better ways. Come back to me. I don't like this implementation approach. Then your project business case is shot down. So you should always come with multiple options. You must be able to satisfy the stakeholders who are approving this business case, right? So you should have multiple options, okay? And then you have to shortlist one good option. And mind you, one of the options should always be maintain status quo. That is, do nothing. At times, it makes sense not to have any changes at all. You cannot have changes for the change's sake. Just imagine what happens if you keep accepting all the changes that come around. Well, you'll just be swept off the feet. Life will be very chaotic, doesn't it? See, one of the options should be, well, we'll not do anything at all. So the sponsor, the guy who's approving the business case will also ask you, what happens if you don't have this project? So you have to justify why it's important to do something, right? Then evaluation. Then you have a benefits measurement plan. As a project starts benefiting and delivering results, you should have a method where you measure the benefits, okay, during operations after the project is over. Not always after the project is over, at times during the project itself. For example, if you're implementing in modules, each module as you implement can start deriving benefits. So during the project itself, you can start measuring benefits. It's very, very important. So there was a time when people didn't really care about using project results. So millions of dollars went down the drain. Nobody cared to use the project results. We delivered something, people didn't use it. Now it's no longer possible. On the one hand, project manager has a responsibility to have a benefits management plan so that he onboards teams from the operations to measure it. Okay. And the operations team are also warned before time what is going to be launched, and now they should be prepared to take it out to the market. Okay. Now, project benefits management plan, we just now looked into a business case. Then what do you have in a benefits management plan? It tells you what are the target benefits. What could target benefits be like? Well, our turnaround time should be reduced by 50% from 15 days to 7 days. Market share should increase from 2% to 8%. Waiting time should be reduced from 10 days to 2 days. Okay, so these are target benefits. Strategic alignment, you have to state why it is important from a strategic perspective. Hundreds of business cases might come up. You have to say why they're aligned strategically. Okay. Time frame, your benefits management plan should tell you when the benefits are expected to accrue. Within 3 months from launching the project or during the project itself, right? And who's the benefits owner? Well, you have to mention who it is, right? If you don't mention benefits owner, who will record the results? Okay. You wanted your turnaround time be reduced by 50%. Is there somebody who's there to measure it? Okay. Metrics. These are all metrics. 50% reduction, 8% increase in market share, waiting time reduction by 5 days. These are all metrics. You have to state in metrics. Without metrics, you cannot measure in an objective way. Assumptions, risks. What are assumptions? Assumptions are what you believe to be true for planning purpose. I assume it won't rain today. I don't take the umbrella. I assume I'll get the bus within 10 minutes, so I'll be reaching my office on time. I assume a regulatory approval would be received in 3 months so that I could build a home or I could build an infrastructure project. These are all assumptions. Assumptions relating to productivity, assumptions relating to cost. Okay, so you have to state what are the assumptions based on which the benefits would realize. My assumption would be, well, marketing department would have come with a marketing plan so that it will start launching the project benefits, right? Or I'm going to hand over this application to operations. So all the interfaces in operation should be ready to accept this data. These are all assumptions, So why should you set the assumptions? Well, everyone should be informed what their roles, responsibilities are, isn't it? Risks, what could prevent these from happening? Okay. So benefits management plan is derived based on needs assessment and business case, thus created pre-project. Even before a project charter is born, you have to come with business case and benefits management plan. Okay. So note that benefits may be derived post the project in operations, thus this document can remain active after the project is closed. It's a live document. Even if after the project closes, it'll be there, right? Yeah. Project charter, well, we don't have to go into it in detail. Just know that project charter is issued by the sponsor. Who's the sponsor? The guy who will be funding the project, the guy who will make sure you get the people for running the project, and so on, right? So he signs a project charter, he appoints a project manager and tells him, go ahead, guy, take the project into your hands, you plan for it and execute it, right? And this guy comes to the project manager plan. Okay, I mean, what do you mean by this guy? I mean, the guy he nominates as a project manager in the charter. So from that point onwards, it's a project manager's responsibility to take the project into his hands, right? Yeah. So we have already seen what is the difference between a well-run project and a poorly run project. Okay. So this is just an overview. What do you consider project success? Well, you should have met all the constraints of scope, time, and cost. Okay. Quality, resources, risk. We should have met the targets, right? Then you should have achieved the project objectives, financial, okay, non-financial, okay. It could be financial, non-financial, okay. Desired state change. What is a desired state change? A new capability that a project would have given to an organization to launch a new product and so on, right? Contract fulfillment. If you've got a customer contract, we would have fulfilled it. Satisfaction, user adoption, integration, okay. So these are all called project objectives, project success, right? Who defines them? They're defined by stakeholders, linked to organizational strategy and business results. That is what we saw, isn't it? Continuous business alignment is key to success. All the time we have to make sure what we deliver is useful to business. If business realities have changed, well, what is the point of delivering something that it's not going to use, right? You have to be focused on what the business wants rather than just meeting the planned targets. Okay, it is not just scope, cost, and time. Okay, yeah. So the first day would be the discussion might look a bit disjointed, very expansive. Okay, don't worry, things will fall in place. Okay, now answer this question. Which of these is not true about tailoring? Not true. Guess B, guess A, Sushma B, Natalie B, Binoy B, Rakesh B, All others make an effort. No negative marks here. Okay, right. Yes, we have who has not answered yet. Mohsin. Yes, Mohsin, thanks B. Then Sandeep. Yes, Sandeep, please answer. No point. I mean, no problem. You can answer. Yes. Karthikeyan B. Sandeep hasn't answered. Then who else hasn't? Yeah. Jitendra, welcome Jitendra. You are a bit late. I didn't notice you at the beginning. Okay. Then Gulam, Geet, all of you answer, please. Yes. It's the excitement of answering matters, not the answer. Okay. Right. Please, all of you answer. Make it very interactive. Raise questions, answer. If you don't understand, don't let me go forward. Geet, Geet Bhatia A. Well, what about others? What about Mr. Reddy? Mr. Reddy there? Mr. Naidu there? Please, all of you answer. Okay. Well, see, what is not right is a project may not be tailored. Once the project management method has been decided, it's not like that. You can change, right? For example, you find that suddenly, let's say you adopted traditional waterfall method. Suddenly you find markets have changed enormously. Original plans are not going to be valid anymore. You have to redo the whole thing. Then you may temporarily go for agile, then come back to waterfall, right? So all that is possible. So nothing is permanent. You can change. Which of the following is not true about project business documents? What are the two business documents? Business case, benefits management plan. Let me explain to you both once again. What's a business case? Business case is a decision support tool that lets you select projects. Benefits management plan is a plan that anticipates when these benefits would accrue, the timelines in which they are supposed to accrue, the operational metrics through which you'll be measuring these benefits, and people in the organization who would be responsible for measuring these benefits. Okay. So now you know there are two documents: business case, benefits management plan. Now answer this question. Which of the following is not true about project business documents? Yes, guest C, get C, Sushma C, Binoy C. Yes. Rakesh C. Well, what about others? What about Natalie? Then Gulam, Karthikeyan. Make an effort. Karthikeyan B, Motion B. Well, let's go to the answer. See, the answer is C. Why C? What does the last operative word say in C? Only until project closure. No, a lot of times benefits will happen after the project. No. When does a project close? Once you transition results to operations. You come with an application, you close the project and roll it out to the operations. So benefits management plan not required after that? Well, only then they actually become necessary, no? Okay. So which of the following is not true is C. A, B, and D are correct. Okay. Yeah. Which of the following is not a type of project life cycle? Natalie C. Guest C, Abe C, Guest C, Rakesh C, Sushma C, Motion C. Great, all of you are right. Okay, we didn't come across the word fixed life cycle. No, it's a made-up word. Okay, fine, great. Yeah, see, at the end of each topic, you may have some assignment. You can attempt this assignment, but there'll not be any marks for this. I mean, you don't have to really complete this assignment to get this PDUs. Okay, that's about it. So if you want, you can do that. Okay, now let's go to, yeah, any questions so far? I can give you a minute or two to decide. Mr. Zilan, Mr. Sridhar ready? Geet, Gulam, Jitender, Karthikeyan, Mohsin, Natali, Rakesh, then Sushma, Sandeep. Any questions? Please ask me. How is it going? Have I put you all to sleep? Can somebody confirm? How is it going? Are you comfortable? The pace hasn't picked up yet. Yeah, Rakesh is excellent and Guess is good. Going good. Sushma says going good. Thank you. Okay, now let's go to the next topic. Preet Bhatia says great. Thank you. We'll go to the next topic. The next topic is project environment. So in this topic, we'll be discussing about organization structures, internal, external factors, project environment. Okay. See, when you go to a client's place, you derive authority to do some work, isn't it? It all depends on what type of organizational structure it is. So we should understand that, right? Then what are the external factors and internal factors that influence the way you plan in projects? Okay. Then recognize responsibilities of PMO. What is PMO? Project Management Office. All this we'll discuss, right? Slowly. Organizational influences, organizational systems, project management offices. These three topics we'll discuss today. Now, right? Organizational influences. See this slide, then the next one, and the next one. Okay. These three slides tell us how we are constrained in an organization. We are not given a free run. So you're given an authority. This authority should be exercised within certain boundaries, isn't it? So that is what we are going to discuss. What are the organizational influences on the way you can run the project? Fine. So you have external environmental factors. I mean, you call it enterprise environmental factors. See, EEF refers to enterprise environmental factors. This could be internal, external. What does it mean? Okay, let me explain this to you. Let's say we are here, we are the project, okay? And this is organization. In organization, we have a lot of other projects also, right? Now, you have some common governance structures within the organization. No? You may have a risk department, you may have a change control board, you may have a project steering committee, project selection committee, all these, and then QA board, right? So then you have rules, regulations, policies, procedures, the type of tools that are available that you can use for scheduling requirements, okay, raising your travel bills, okay. So there are factors which are within the control of the organization. This is the enterprise. This is the enterprise. This is the project. So project has to operate within the enterprise governance structures, policies, procedures, isn't it? So, but enterprise itself has an overall layer it has to submit to. What are they? They are like law, no? What is law? Anything that is regulatory, isn't it? If you're an automobile industry, the law is that your emission norm should not exceed a certain amount, isn't it? Okay. Carbon emission should be within certain, that is law. Well, does enterprise have control over it? No, it has to fall in line. Then you can have industry standards. You might be following Six Sigma standards, or you might be, this enterprise might be working in a highly regulated environment like FDA. If you're in pharmaceuticals, FDA would apply, no? Food and Drug Administration, right? So there are some factors which are internal, certain factors which are external. External to what? External to project, right? We have to have these in mind. We cannot ignore them. We cannot ignore laws. We cannot ignore industry standards. We cannot ignore industry benchmarks. At the same time, we cannot also ignore the internal organizational policies, procedures, organizational structures, change control board, and so on, right? Then you have organizational process assets, you have policies, procedures. Okay, you can make changes to them, but you have to adopt them, right? Then corporate knowledge database. In this organization, you might have had several projects of a similar type, of a similar industry, or for the same client. So you might have database relating to, say, you could have defects database, cost database, schedule database, quality database, a lot of databases. So you might have gathered a lot of knowledge. So when you don't have anything to start your project at the beginning, okay, well, you have to look into the past performance, no? So the corporate knowledge database is also part of organizational process assets. What are organizational process assets? See, for a project, you create assets. What type of assets? Process assets. When you complete schedule, you create a process asset. When you complete budget, you come with an asset, no? So these are all influences. You can use these to run your projects. Okay. Then enterprise factors, I was telling internal culture, structure, governance. What is culture? Risk-taking culture, quality culture, not spending too much of money, thriftiness culture, structure, number of layers of decision making, hierarchical structures, flat structures, okay, geographic distribution of facilities, which are the areas where you have what facilities, so that you can decide whether you can run the projects there or not. Okay, infrastructure, the type of tools we use, information technology software, resource availability, employee capability. These are all factors over which you have no control. For example, if the employee is not really, if let's say you want the best employees, but you don't have the best employees here, you only have mediocre employees, well, there is an enterprise factor over which you have no control. Just remember this. Enterprise environmental factors are factors over which projects and organizations have no control. Okay, like employee capability, resource availability. Then marketplace conditions, these are external. Demand, supply, decides the price, no? Okay, marketplace conditions, demand, supply, price, availability, social, cultural influences, legal restrictions, commercial database, academic research, standards, financial considerations, physical environmental elements. We'll discuss all these, okay? Just understand one thing at this point of time. These enterprise factors are very, very basic to your planning process. You need to understand what you have. Okay, for example, if you plan to do something in a very short time, you need to have experts, doesn't it? You should have qualified engineers, you should have experts. What if your employee capability does not meet your requirements? Well, you cannot have a really short schedule. It may take longer time. Okay, employee capability, resource availability, and so on, right? For instance, you want to start an agile project. So what type of information technology is available? Continuous integration is basic for agile project, isn't it? Right? If it's available, you can run. Otherwise, you can't run agile projects. Organizational process assets, processes, policies, procedures, organization knowledge repositories. When you complete a project, you'll be consigning your lessons learned documentation, to the organization. Okay, so that subsequent project managers could use them. Yeah, so you don't really have to give importance to all this. It tells you during initiating, executing, closing, what are the organizational processes. Well, you don't really have to go into them right now because we will be discussing them when we actually go there. It's just listed here to illustrate that you could have different organizational process assets for different process groups. Fine, not to worry. Yeah, these are examples. Previous project files. We are talking about organizational process assets. Okay, previous project files, configuration management database. What is configuration? Version control, you know. iPhone, you have versions, you know, different versions. So they're all configuration management databases, process measurement databases, quality database, issue database, financial database. Okay. Quiz. See, you can ignore this question. This relates to a later topic. We'll come to this topic, this question later on. Okay. It's not, yeah, this should have been rightly placed somewhere else. Doesn't matter. We'll come to this later on, right? Yeah. So we'll go to all the three questions. They don't relate to the topic. We'll come to them later on, right? Now, organizational systems. See, we need to understand what type of organization is when you go to a client's place, you know. So what is unique about them? Okay, for example, management elements. What does it mean? See, I'm sorry, just give me a moment. Is there some question somewhere? Yeah, Rakesh has a question. Resource availability and resource competency. Why it is not an organization control? Yeah, these are factors over which you have control. That is what it means. See, you're a project manager. Okay, so you want to, let's say, you want experts in big data. Okay, your project is some business intelligence software. I mean, you're coming up with business intelligence software, so you need to have access to big data. Now, what happens if you don't have experts in big data? Well, you have to go and recruit them, isn't it? Or let's say you want a grade 1 employee, or you want to have, say, experienced developers. You want 10 experienced developers. Well, organization has only 5 experienced developers, and it is prepared to give you 10 upstarts, those who've just joined from college. Okay, so a lot of times resource constraint is a fact that you have to reckon with. We cannot be very demanding. Whatever is there, we have to accept. If possible, we can go and recruit from outside if your budget permits, if your organizational policies permit. So that's why, yeah, it is not always in organization's control. Resource availability. I might like to have the best. Let's say I want to have only guys from Harvard Business School. Okay, right? Is it possible? There is a thing like budget. If I have to get a guy from Harvard Business School, I have to pay some $50,000. Well, I look into the budget, I have only $10,000, right? So these are all not always in organization's control, not even in project's control. Rakesh, did I answer you?
Yes, Ramesh. Thanks a lot.
Welcome. Okay. So now let's go to structure types. See, level of authority, roles, responsibilities, reporting structure within the project. See, there are different types of organizational structures. Let me explain this to you. That decides what is the level of authority you have as a project manager, what the roles and responsibilities and reporting structure are. See, in an organization, you have a CEO, then under him you may have a lot of people, you know, right? So project managers authority based on the type of organization structure. So what type is it? Okay, there are 4 to 5 different types, important types. We'll look into them. Okay, so depends on available structure and how to optimize them for the organization, considering the following factors: degree of alignment, specialization, span of control, efficiency. Well, let me straight away take you to the discussion. This is a lot of theory. Okay, see, you look at this. These are all the different types of organizational structures you can have. Organic, very simple, like a sole proprietor or partnership firm. Okay, now why is it important for you to know that? Well, you have to know what is your authority, isn't it, right? So in a very small sole proprietor or partnership company, partnership organization, you may have a project manager who has got a part-time role. He may not have a designation as a project manager at all. He may just be a coordinator. Resource availability. What resource availability? Project resource availability. To run the projects may be little or none. You may call that guy an owner or operator, right? Then you have functional organization. See, I will discuss about functional, matrix, weak matrix, balance matrix. These four are very, very important. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. All these I'll discuss with you, and also virtual. Now I'll take you to another slide and I'll discuss with you, right? Then project hybrid. Hybrid is a combination of any of these. PMO, there is a separate slide within this topic we'll discuss, right? Now, these four forms of organization, I have another PPT. I'll explain it through that. I'll also be uploading that PPT. In case you can download it from EDRECA website. Okay, so here it is not fully described it is not described in a structured manner. I'll take you, that is more illustrative, that I'll explain it to you, right? See, this is, yeah, can you have a look at this? Yes. Before this, you have a functional organization. See, in a functional organization, let's say you go to a client's place, right? And you find the organization, functional organization. What does it mean? It means you don't have a project manager. Then what is your designation? Your designation would be project coordinator. So what does it mean to you? Well, it means that you don't really have any say in the project. Then what is your role? Well, I'll play a role supplement to a functional organization, functional manager. Who is a functional manager? Well, he's head of a business unit. You have a functional manager for accounts, functional manager for finance, functional manager for manufacturing, functional manager for marketing, sales. So I'll be playing a supplementary role to functional manager. Now, don't they have any projects at all? Well, they do have projects. Who are the team members of the project? Well, people from the same department. See this color, is project team. Okay. So people from the same department work in the projects which come up with products or application functionalities which are used by the same department. It's very, very limited in need. So you don't have to go bring people from outside. So you have people from the same department working in the projects. So how long will they be in the project? Well, as long as the projects run, they'll remain in the project. Then after that, what happens? Well, they stay back in the same department. They have a roof, right? They might be allocating 4 hours for project, 4 hours for operations. Right? So what is the authority of project manager? Manager? No, you don't even have a designation. You are called a project coordinator. Then what are you doing? Well, I'll attend the project meetings. I will take down minutes. I'll follow up on the minutes. I cannot post any people. I cannot give any sign off. I cannot accept deliverables. I have absolutely no say in it. What about the team members? Well, they belong to the same department and they stay back the same place once the projects are over. So this is called functional organization. Okay. Now in this functional organization, they may have all the capabilities that are required to deliver a product because they're all experts. For example, you have a travel department that will come up with a ticketing application, isn't it? They have all the expertise required, but they may not have the expertise to manage the projects, like coming up with a schedule, come up with a budget, and so on. Right? That's a problem, right? So What is your authority as a project manager? There is a crux. There is a reason why you're discussing. Well, authority is nil. Now, the second form, weak matrix. Well, it's the same thing. Do you find any difference? What is the difference you find between this and the earlier one? You have the same project coordinator. You have the same function manager. Do you find a project manager anywhere? No. What's the difference? Only difference is you have some coordination happening between two departments. You have a matrix. So it permits flow of information from one department to the other. It's slightly more advanced. Only advances, well, it is matrix. It is in the earlier project, information would travel this way, this way, this way. If this guy wants some information, you would write to function manager, you would write to the next one, and he'll get it, and it'll travel this way. This is how it used to be. But in a weak matrix, it is not like this. You can have you can bring people from different departments and start a project. Okay. But still, you call it weak because you don't have a project manager. You only have a project coordinator. Okay. This is weak matrix. Now, the next one is balanced matrix. This is something we should be focusing on. PMI believes that this is the best form of organization where projects succeed. See, what do you require for a project to succeed? Tell me. Number one, project management expertise. Number two, functional expertise, isn't it? If both these are if both these are there, projects will be a success. Functional inputs greatly enhances the value of project management or the functional aspects of the product, isn't it? So you should always have both. See, for example, if I have to develop a banking application, I should get the banking expertise for the function managers. Otherwise, what am I going to develop? And the function manager is going to be benefited by my project management experience because I'm an experienced project manager. I know how to do things on time. I know how to prioritize, how to identify constraints. I know. So it's a best combination, no? So let's understand this organization. Okay. So it's called balanced matrix. You have a functional manager, and for the first time, you have a project manager. Now, what makes him so different to this? Well, he has a project management expertise. He can identify constraints. He can come up with schedules, budgets, identify risk, manage risk efficiently. Okay. So functional manager benefits from project manager's expertise. Project manager benefits from functional inputs. What are the mutual roles and responsibilities? Project manager reports to functional manager. He reports. Then what is functional manager's commitment? Functional manager's commitment is to give the project manager the team resources. Why? Team resources has to be part of the project, Team resources have to talk to stakeholders, gather requirements, do the coding, designing, development, testing, perform UAT, everything is there, no? So function manager provides the team resources, provides physical resources, gives requirements, acts deliveries, uses application functionalities, ensures a project remains high in the priority of the organization. He makes sure it's funded properly, major scope changes he approves. Okay, right. But the only problem here is a project manager, it forms a project team with team members from different function departments. Now you have two loyalties, twin loyalties. These staff members have to report to project manager and the function manager. Okay. Performance appraisals for the whole year might be done by function manager based on the multiple project managers' performance appraisals for a staff member. A staff member might be working in different departments, different projects. Or for first 6 months, you may be in project 1, second 6 months, you may be in project 2. So function manager consolidates a performance appraisal of all the projects and he evaluates a team member's performance. He may set the goals with his team member. So his loyalty is to the function manager more than to the project manager, isn't it? Right. So what is the authority that a project manager has? Well, It is low to moderate. Why do you call it low? Because he has to depend on function manager for everything. Okay. Why do you call it low to moderate? Because any major changes to scope, any budget, everything has to be approved by function manager. Resource has to be provided by function manager. That is why you call functional managers as resource managers, isn't it? Right? So yeah, but the problem is you have conflicting loyalties. That could be a cause of friction, right? So just understand, in all the discussions, we should assume that we are working in a balanced matrix. That is a PMIism. If you have that assumption, you can answer all questions right. Our authority is low to medium. We don't really have authority to take all decisions. You might be nominated as a project manager, but all that is only formal. We cannot always assert ourselves, expect people to acknowledge our authority. That doesn't happen. We depend on functional manager. Okay. So this is balanced matrix. Then the next one is strong matrix. In a strong matrix, you only find project manager. You don't find functional managers at all. You might have a CEO. He might nominate project managers, and you have team members. Well, this is not an ideal form of organization. Why? Because you don't have any functional managers here. You don't have functional expertise. So it's not really good. Okay. And you have project-based organizations. In this, you only have projects, nothing else. See, if you worked in a company like Capgemini or Accenture, see, I worked in Capgemini, you know. So in those companies, you only have projects, hundreds of projects in different verticals. You have a manager projects, you have project manager. Okay. And the project manager doesn't report to function manager. No, it doesn't happen. Rather, it reports to manager projects. So if a project manager has any requirements, the manager projects would talk to the function manager and get things done. This is also not an ideal form of organization. Okay, right? This is virtual. In virtual, what happens is, let's say this is a client site, your team is working in a client site, and you have an offshore development center. Okay, this is a virtual setup. A lot of importance given to technology, right? You call this network structure with nodes. This is the official name for it, network structure with nodes. And at each node, you have a point of contact. You have a point of contact for offshore development center, point of contact for client side. Here, what is the project manager's authority? It is also low to moderate. Okay, so most of decisions are taken by the lead here and the lead the client side. Okay, so these are the different forms of organization. Why should we learn about them? We should learn about them because these decide what type of authority we derive, what influence we have. Okay, so when you have time, you just come back to these pages and go through them. Okay, we have discussed all this, and there are other things like hybrid PMO. PMO we'll be discussing now, right? Yeah. So all of the following are true about organizational system, except, well, my suggestion is you ignore this topic also. We'll come to this question later on. See, I told you, there are some topics we've discussed, ignored. Questions, we'll come to that. See, what are management elements? Let me tell you what these management elements are. Management elements refer to power, influence, competence, political place, leadership. See, when you go to a client's place, you should understand what are the management elements there. What are they? Like, who are all politically influential people in the organization? Why? You want to be part of politics? No, you don't have to be part of politics. You must understand what is the political system. You have to operate within the political system. You can exploit politics to get things done for the project. Okay, so that's very, very important. What are the political plays? What are the leadership, power, influence, competence? Okay, who are all the people who are competent to give you inputs on risk, quality, things like that, that you need to, that is management element. Not only that, how much importance is given to aspects like delegation. If you have a lot of delegation, you'll have a flat organization. If you have excessive centralization, well, you'll have a very hierarchical organization. Why should you know about this? Well, That'll impact the time it takes for you to take decisions. You have to work it up all the way up if it's hierarchical. Okay, decision-making delay should be factored into your schedule and so on, right? Governance frameworks, how much importance is given to seniority? Okay, then how much importance is given to competence in an organization? Do they have, say, concepts like lifetime employment, which means a lot of importance is given to competence, seniority, right? Sorry, a lot of importance given to seniority than competence, no? So that also you should understand, right? Organizational structure types, that is what we discussed just a while ago, no? So what is the most ideal form? Balance matrix, okay? So all these three together influence the way you can run a project, okay? Now let's come back to the questions that we missed earlier. Now we can understand why I left them out, right? Try to answer this. Don't worry if you don't answer them properly, right? You are managing a project where project team members generally report to their respective managers. As a project manager, your authority over the selection of members of the team is low to moderate. Which type of organizational structure does the organization follow? Yeah, Rakesh has a question. I'll come to that, Rakesh. Yes. I'll come to your question, Rakesh. Yes. So, guest A, guest D, Binoy D, Abesi, then Sushma D, guest A, Karthikeyan C, Natalie A, Moshin A. Okay, we have a very diverse spread. Okay, see, do you remember I told you that in a balanced matrix, we report to project manager. Project manager provides the resources, so our authority is low. We don't really have access, right? Then budget has to be approved by function manager, scope has to be approved by function manager. Okay, so, and the team members also report to the function manager. Function manager sets the project goals. I mean, function manager sets the goals for appraisal. Function manager sets the salary, okay, decides the salary increments, everything, you know. Okay, so now what is the answer? The answer is balance matrix. Okay, in a balance matrix, we don't really have that much of authority. It is low to moderate. It is only in projectized that you have very high. Fine. Okay. Is it clear to all of you? Okay. Yes. You have any doubts? Anyone has any doubts? Okay. Now Rakesh has a question. What is the difference between delivery manager and project manager? See, as a project manager, you're only focused on, say, the project deliveries. Okay. But as a delivery manager, you may be dealing with multiple projects. You're rather an accounts manager. Your organization might appoint you as delivery manager for a client. For example, you might be a delivery manager for federal government. Federal government may be running 10 different projects from different domains. So you have to be delivery head for everything. You have to make sure, okay, all deliveries happen on time. You have to do things like following up on commercials, you know, all odd lots of things, odd jobs. Then you have to make sure escalations happen in a timely manner to get your funds, to get your remittances, you know, it's like that. Yeah. You don't really have to be a project manager to be a delivery manager. Okay. I worked in both capacities, so that's why I'm telling you. Right. Okay. Rakesh? Fine. Okay. Let's come to the next question. Did I answer you, Rakesh?
Ramesh, thank you.
Yeah. Welcome. So in a weak matrix organization, the role of a project manager is that of weak matrix. Value questions, answers. Rakesh E, Binoy, Rakesh A, Binoy A, then Sushma A, Moshin A, Natalie A, Guest A, Gulam A. Well, so the answer is all of you are right. Perfect. Okay, all of you got it right. That's great. Right. All the following are advantages of projectized organization structure, except this talks about projectized. One of the following is not true. That is what it means. Except. We have to think a bit here. See, let me explain this organization's nature once again. Then you can answer. See, in a projectized organization, I told you only have projects, like Accenture, Capgemini, and so on, right? Now, we don't know how long you're going to be in the project and who your next client is going to be, what your next domain is going to be. We don't really know, isn't it? So the loyalty of project team towards the project is literally nil, isn't it? If you're in a functional, if you're in a balanced matrix, you may have team members, they may stay back in the same department, so they may have some loyalty. The next project would be something relating to the same functional department, right? So you don't have that in project organization chart. Team members continue to work together on projects one after the other. Well, it's not that once a project is over, you will be rolled off to the bench. If there is no other project for you, you have to go fend for yourself, find another project. You don't have a home. More effective communication between team members. How do you say that? Efficient project organization? No, it cannot be efficient because there is no balance of power between functional manager and, isn't it? See, I mean, efficient in that sense, it is okay. Fine. In the sense that entire power is with the project manager. Fine. So the answer is, what is not true is team members continue to work together on projects one after the other. If you worked in companies like Accenture, Capgemini, you know, okay, you'll be in a project. Then after that, you have to find yourself another project, right? Otherwise you'll just be rolled off the bench. You have to then network and then go to the next project, right? So, fine. The fact that, I mean, you cannot expect to work on one project or the other, right? That is not true. Okay, now let's go to organizational systems. We have discussed this already. Yeah, this one topic. Yeah, this is the governance framework I was telling you. A framework for authority in an organization that is also impacts the way you run the organization, run your projects. What are these frameworks? Like change control board, QA board, okay, policies, procedures, management principles, you know, then general management elements. What are these principles? Like how much of importance is given to delegation, how much of importance is given to salary, merit, okay, authorization, safety, resource usage, etc., as per governance and organizational structure. These are all management elements. Okay. Yeah. So we have seen all these organizational structure types. My suggestion is you can come back to these once again and have a look at this. Okay. Yeah. Yes. So let's answer this quiz. A project manager operates in an environment where team members rely heavily on technology to collaborate with each other. New contracts are established internally and externally through known colleagues and partners. What type of organization type is this? Do you remember points of contacts? Technology. When do you rely on technology? Extensive reliance on collaborative technology. Gulam C, Guest B, Moshin D, Shushma D, Natalie D. Well, all of you are right. Okay, all of you have given Abe D. Well, virtual organization. It's only in virtual organization that a lot of importance is given to collaborative technology, and you have nodes. Okay, internal, external, and so on, right? Yeah. Now let's go to the next topic. Project Manager Office. Is it a bit fast paced, or are you comfortable? See, let me tell you, PMBOK 5 was only some 50 to 60% of PMBOK 6. Okay, PMBOK 6 has increased the scope like anything, and the time is the same. Earlier they gave us 35 hours, now also 35 hours, same 35 hours. Okay, so it's a challenge both to the trainer and to the trainees. If you're experienced, if you have applied these tools and techniques, and if you have practiced project management in a very formal manner, well, you can relate it very, very quickly. Otherwise, you have to slowly digest it. Okay, right? Okay. Now, let's come to the next topic, project management office. So, see what happens when we are first assigned to the project. The first thing is we write a mail to the PMO, no? Saying, say, I've been appointed as a project manager, so give me the scheduling tool. Okay, that's where day one begins, isn't it? Then they'll ask us what are the start dates and dates. Then those start dates and dates are fixed. And then they say, okay, it's your project now, go ahead, go manage it. Okay. So what are we looking to for project management office? We are looking to technology. Then the next thing is we have to plan. Well, where do you begin planning with? Well, you look for historical information. You look for project repository, isn't it? Knowledge repository. So you talk to PMO and say, well, do you have similar projects that we have done earlier? Do you have any schedule database? Do you have any cost database? Do you have any risk database? What were the quality performance metrics for similar projects? So I have to come with quality definitions. Can you help me out? So we are looking into earlier projects. So where do you get this information? Well, it's PMO. When you have nothing to fall back upon, PMO gives us the planning inputs. Then you go and see, well, initially I require at least 10 developers, 2 testers, okay, 2 designers, 2 BAs. You go to PMO. Then you find some of these have to be trained. Then you go again back, you go back to them for training. So they give you technology, then they give you templates, they give you methodologies, they give you people, they train your people. So they play a very useful role, isn't it, right? Now, PMO usually coordinates all aspects of methodology. Yeah, let's one by one. PMO is an organizational body or entity assigned with various responsibilities related to centralized and coordinated management of those projects under its domain, right? So it integrates data and information from corporate strategic projects and evaluate how strategic objectives are being fulfilled. What does it mean? See, when I worked as a project manager, my most awaited meeting would be with the PMO. PMO would meet not just with me, with all the other project managers. So during these PMO meetings, they'd be apprising us about which projects are doing well, which projects are gaining traction because strategically they are becoming more important, which projects might face an axe, budgetary cuts, because they might be losing importance. So what are the projections for staff movement from one project to the other? Okay, so basically PMO provides information as to how projects are meeting the strategic objectives. Okay, and they coordinate aspects of methodology and nomenclature. What methodology should you go for? Should you go for agile? Should you go for traditional methods? Okay, what templates you should use, what software you have to use. Okay, then it lies us between portfolio, programs, projects, and corporate management systems. Okay, then PMO provides support to project managers. So these are broadly the PMO functions. Now you can also classify them as supportive, controlling, directive. Not all PMOs are alike. Some PMOs, well, they only play a consultative role. You go to them, you want something, they'll provide you. Beyond that, they don't even look at what happens, right? They'll give you templates, best practices, training, information, lessons learned. So the degree of control is very low. You call it supportive. And controlling, besides being supportive, it also expects you to conform. It tells you, yeah, you follow this methodology. Well, you have to use this template. You have to submit your report every 2 days. Every week you'll have a project selection committee, steering committee meeting. You have to, we'll be reviewing you. Okay. So it becomes slightly more domineering, right? That's controlling. It's moderate. In the third type of PMO, you call the directive. The projects are so big that the PMOs directly appoint project managers. PMOs directly review the project results, project performance, everything. Okay. So that is more pervasive. It runs the projects directly, of course, through project managers, but appointments of project managers, everything is done by PMO. Right? So the degree of control here is very high. Okay, just think for yourself and decide what type of PMO do you have. Do you have a PMO at all? So now there is a view which says that PMOs are just extra, what do you call, overall, I mean, overages, Well, it's an extra cost center. PMO has become some sort of a superlative body, domineering, giving orders. It has lots of support, right? Well, that idea is gaining credence, But there are organizations which have converted PMO into a what do you call customer? A client. Um, you supply PMO function also. Okay, if you want somebody, see, I worked in some clients' place. Okay, they don't have even basic methodologies, basic templates, basic expertise. So you can also promote PMO structures for your client's place, setting up PMOs, supplying templates, and so on. So that PMO becomes what do you call a revenue center than a cost center. Okay. So project manager PMO. Well, is there a conflict? There is no. Okay, there is no conflict, right? It just defines a role. It should not be versus. Well, that's why I said there is no conflict. It's not versus. You have different roles. That's all. PMO focus on project. Sorry, project manager focuses on project. What about PMO? Well, there is handling portfolio function, no? See, we have discussed about portfolio management, no? Who does portfolio management? PMO. So what is the scope? Portfolio, program. It talks about potential opportunities out in the market. Okay. They are bigger things they do manage, no? It goes beyond project boundaries. PM controls assigned project resources. Project manager gets resources. Whatever is assigned to him alone, project manager can control. What about PMO? Optimizes use of shared organizational resources across all projects. What does it mean? It only tells you, well, PMO decides which team member should work in which project, from which team project each team member should be moved, and things like that, right? Then project manager manages constraints only for the project. He manages scope, schedule, cost, quality. But PMO, it manages methodology, standards, overall risk, opportunities, interdependence among projects. Okay, just understand one thing. Scope is bigger, that's all, right? Yeah. So PMO demonstrate authorities. It can make recommendations, need knowledge transfer, terminate projects, because it reviews phase gates, right? Take other actions. Supports PMOs. It's help share resources. That is the same requirement tool, for example, can be shared across different projects. Same scheduling tool, right? It helps project manager develop methodology, best practices, standards, coaches, mentors, trains, provides oversight, monitors compliance with PM standards, policies, procedures, templates, comes up with policies, procedures, coordinates communications across projects. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. Answer this question. A PMO spends considerable time to ensure that the organization's project management method is used by all project teams in the company. As part of this work, they hold periodic meetings with all project managers to review which tools and templates are being used by the latter. What type of PMO is this? Binoy B, guest B, guest A, Rakesh B. Yes, I'll come to that, Karthik again. Yeah. Natali D, Moshin B. Well, so what is the question? PMO spends considerable time to ensure that the organization's project management method is used by all project teams in the company, isn't it? It spends considerable time. What does it mean? Okay. As part of this work, they hold periodic meetings with all project managers, which means they give orders to review which tools and templates are being used by the latter. What type of PMO is this? Controlling PMO. Does it say it manages the project directly? No. It manages, it lets the project managers manage the project, but it only controls, right? What if it is directly managing the project? Well, it will be direct to project PMO. Okay, right? See, we saw that, no, what is the controlling PMO's function? It ensures PM meets the standards, project manager meets the standards, complaints, and all that, no? So it's called controlling. Okay. Yeah, this is an assignment. If you want, you can work on it. Okay. Now, how is it going? There's one more topic for today. A small topic, we'll complete it, right? So how's it going? Abhay, Binoy, then Palani, Mr. Reddy, Zian, Geet, Gulam. Yeah, Mushin says great. Thanks, Mushin. Yeah, you're going well. Great. So far, so good. Okay. Okay, let's proceed, right? Yeah, Binoy says interesting, informative. Rakesh, going well, Ramesh. Thanks, Rakesh. Now let's go to the next topic, role of the project manager. See, this topic has been introduced for the first time in PMBOK 6. Earlier, you had a very passing reference to role of project manager, but you have one topic exclusively devoted to project manager because the role of project manager is evolving gradually. Let us see how it's evolving, right? See, so these are the topics: role of the project manager's sphere of influence, project manager's competencies, and integration by the project manager. Okay, integration aspect number 4 will be covering very, very briefly today, but tomorrow we'll have a next topic, integration management. There will be extensively discussing, right? Now, role of the project manager. Well, we know he's responsible for team's outputs, should have relevant knowledge, skills, including some domain knowledge. That is, if you're working, for example, if you're working in an insurance domain or aerospace domain, you must know what those knowledge are, no? Domain. So some domain knowledge is important. But most importantly, you should also have project management skills, okay? Now, see, look at the number of people with whom project manager deals. It deals with the project team, and this PPP refers to program, product, sorry, portfolio, program, product. Okay, you have portfolio, program, product. Okay, you have product managers, you have companies, especially those which form agile methodologies, they are all organized on product lines, isn't it? So you have to deal with portfolio managers, program managers, product managers, then resource managers. See, who are resource managers? These are the people who provide people to run your projects. We are talking about functional managers. Functional managers, for example, let's say you're coming up with an application for treasury function in a bank. The head of the treasury function would be the functional manager. So he'll provide you people who can give you requirements to work on the projects, to test your application, isn't it? So that's why functional managers are also called as resource managers, right? Then sponsors. Who is a sponsor basically? See, sponsor is interested in having an application, for example, or some instrument he wants to manufacturer, Okay, so he's the head of a strategic business unit, like a treasury manager. Okay, let's say a treasury manager. What does he want? He wants a treasury application. So he puts up a business case and the business case gets approved. So automatically the head of the strategic business unit will also become the sponsor once a project is formed, isn't it? If I'm the head of a treasury, I will request for a project for an application. Well, the project is approved. So automatically, from being a general manager of a treasury department, I become sponsor for the project. It is like this. This is business. This is project. I'm the strategic business unit. I'm general manager treasury. I put up a request for a project. Business case is approved. Now the project has to be, I have to come with the sponsor. I have to come with the project charter. I have to identify a project manager. And I am the sponsor, isn't it? So from being a general manager, I become sponsor for the project. From now on, I will make sure all my application functionality needs are met. Okay, so are you able to understand that? Right? So sponsors, governing bodies, steering committees, PMOs, stakeholders. Who are stakeholders? Team members, regulators, vendors, suppliers. Okay, all these people, end users. So look at the number of people it deals with. No? The project, organization, industry, professional discipline, across disciplines. Okay. You'll come back to this question later on. Okay. It's not relevant right now. One or two questions are like that. You can just ignore it, right? Or you can consider that, no problem. I'll tell you. See, this tells you who are all the different stakeholders, what their interests are, who are bound to stay with us, and who are the ones who are competing with each other. Okay. Now we can answer this. A project manager is working on a complex project where several regulatory authorities, suppliers, and users and other external stakeholders are involved. There are also internal management like operational, program, portfolio, HR managers. Of course, there are the project team members as well. Governance is good due to established steering committee, PMO, sponsors experience, and effective governing bodies within the company. Which group of stakeholders will the PM find it most challenging to influence? See, you take your own time. See, these questions are very big and it requires some time to adjust, understand. So take your own time. Gulam C, Motion C, Rakesh C, Guest C, Guest C, then Sushma C, Natalie C, Natalie A, is it? Okay, sorry. Geet C, well, okay, let me answer this question. C. See, I'll just give you a simple tip to answer PMP exams. See, some of the PMP questions, not some, lot of them, they're extremely lengthy. And you have only 1.2 minutes to answer each question. Okay, so your focus should be on those questions which you're able to answer easily. So you just answer the questions you can and just quickly complete whatever you can. Then you come back and review. Okay, and if any question taking is longer time, just ignore it. You come to it at last. Okay, now what happens if you find a typically long question like this? The best way to approach this question is read the last sentence. For any lengthy question, There is a lot of information, and you find there are a lot of distractors. They're making you think in different directions. It is not even letting you understand what this question is all about. What knowledge area? What does he want? If you're so much quizzed, the best thing is you read the last sentence. What is the last sentence here? Which group of stakeholders will find the PM most challenging? Okay, now you get a sense, no? Oh, it is talking about different stakeholders, and we have to look at their competing interests, isn't it? So just adopt this technique for especially lengthy questions. Read the last sentence. That will tell you what the question is about. Then you read the question, then you'll find the quick answer. Okay, well, the answer is C. Okay, Natalie, you said A, no? The governance group, as they will usually be inflexible in their governance agreements. Yeah, that is right. See, that is right. But C is most right. See, in any question, you'll have more than one right answer. That is one more thing. In PMP exams, you'll have more than one right answer. You have to choose the most right answer. Okay, Natalie, you're right. Governance team, they are there to govern, so they'll be intractable at times. But there is something more stringent than that for their external stakeholders, because they negotiate. See, you have customers, they are also external stakeholders, okay, and people like vendors, suppliers, okay. So they're usually difficult to negotiate, because if they negotiate, they'll either try to, I mean, they have to take some advantage. We'll try to wrest that advantage from them, isn't it, right? But others will stay back with the team. Organizational governance structure, they will stay back with the team. Team members will stay back with the team. Okay, but external stakeholders, they have a competing interest. If not this company, they'll go away elsewhere, right? Customers will not even tell us that they're going, they'll leave us. Okay, right? Okay, Natalie, did you understand? Right. So let's go to project manager competencies. See, 2 years back, PMI conducted a survey and tried to find out what makes a project manager successful. Well, it came with very interesting findings. Yeah, it says that, yeah, thanks, Natalie. Yeah, so it tells us that, what did the study say? Well, there are 3 important skills that a project manager should have. Okay, that is, it conducted a survey of the top 2% successful project managers. Okay, now what made them so successful? What distinguishes them from the rest? See, if you want to be a successful project manager, okay, this should be of interest to you also, right? So what are these 3 aspects? It called it the PMI talent triangle. In fact, if you have to get 60 PDUs, the webinars that view would also depend on these 3 categories. Okay, you have to select from these 3 categories. Okay. Now, what is technical project management? What is technical project management? That is about skills relating to gathering requirements, defining scope, creating WBS, acquiring necessary team members, keeping the team members morale very high, managing risk very efficiently. Okay, that is technical project management. See, what is our technology? We are project managers. What is our technology? Well, domain is not a technology. What is a technology? Project management is a technology. Okay, so these project managers were excellent in managing projects. They had good understanding. Basically, what is it? How to come with a schedule, how to come with the realistic duration estimates, how to be correct in understanding the constraints, isn't it? How to emphasize on the right, when should you give importance to scope, when should you give importance to cost. Okay, so that type of a thing. Leadership, dealing with people, you should have a lot of soft skills. Okay, that's very, very important. We are all working in balance matrix. We can't assert authority. We can't expect people to acknowledge authority. Well, those days are gone. Then what is important? We have to persuade. We have to request, persuade, cajole, right? Use a lot of soft skills dealing with people. Leadership skills. What is leadership skill? What makes you different from other team members? Well, you are responsible for taking the team with you. uniting them, providing them a vision. If each team member only looks to his job as, say, as a tester or a developer or as a business analyst or as a designer, who is going to provide them the vision to understand their common roles, common functionalities, common goals, common vision? That is leadership, being able to communicate, right? Politics, power, getting things done. You should understand what is politics, power in an organization, how to get things done. Okay, there might be people who are not remotely connected to project at all, not even remotely connected, but they'll be very influential. So how do you harness their politics to your advantage, right? Strategic business management. You should understand the business context of your organization. See, when you go to a client's place, I'll give you an idea. The first thing you can ask is, you can ask them for an annual report. What is an annual report? It tells you what the organization's business is, which are the main products, how is the industry faring in relation to industry, how is this company doing, is it stagnant, is it growing, is it declining, what are the opportunities out there. You have a chairman's statement that tells you, well, how this company is performing, what are the challenges the company has got. So those are strategic business management skills. So as a project manager, it's not enough if you're good in project management. If you are good in leadership, well, that is not enough. You need to understand the business context in which the organization is working. What are its products? What is its market share? Who are its closest competitors? What are the emerging technologies which the company is using? That is strategic business management. Okay, because gone are the days when you could say, well, my role starts when the project begins and ends when the project ends. No, you have to assist the organization in performing needs analysis, even putting up a business case and coming up with a benefits management plan which runs far beyond the project needs. I mean, project period, right? So you need to have strategic business management skills. Okay, and leadership and management are not the same. What is management? Meeting the goals. What goals? Schedule targets, cost targets. Well, those are all management. Leadership is communicating vision. Okay, so there are various types of powers of leadership. Okay, we have to exercise. If you go to PMP, it comes up with some different types of powers. You can, yeah. So just go through this. You're an experienced project manager with excellent project management skills and with very familiar with related tools usage. That is, you've got project management skills. That is, you're good in technical project management. You're also good in dealing with people, future thinking, collaboration. Oh, that is also good, right? So leadership is also you're good, no? I'm trying to give you clues because it's a very big question. However, you find it challenging to enhance the business value of your current project, not very sure about the future market of the product to be delivered by this project and the relation between this project and the company goals. You speak to your manager about this and you're recommended to attend training. Which of these trainings should it be? Geet, I'll come to your question. Yes. Geet, I'll come to your question. Yes. Karthikeyan, D. Binoy, D. Motion, D. Guest, D. Abe, D. Rakesh, D. Guest, D. Well, the answer is D. Excellent. Okay. So training in business strategy. Okay. Yeah. Natalie, D. Great. Now let me come to Geet's question. Geet's question is, what is technical project management skills? See, it's very simple. See, this technical project management skills is distinct from domain skills or technology skills. See, what is a project manager's technology? Project manager's technology is being able to come up with budget, come up with schedules, okay, come up with realistic understanding of constraints and assumptions, okay. So being able to motivate team members, keeping their motivation high. So those are all technical project management skills. resolving issues in a timely manner, managing risks. Okay, so in other words, project manager's technology is technical project management skills. Okay, project management skill is called as technical project management skill. That's all. It doesn't mean you have to be an expert in, say, big data or security or insurance, banking. That is different. That is domain related skills. Okay, fine. Did I answer you, Geet? Yeah. So you need to be strong in your project management skills, then strong in also in skills like marketing, okay, business, and so on, right? Project manager is using flattery to win favors of an external stakeholder during the first meeting. With which form of power is a project manager using? See, this is not discussed in the question, so I will not expect you to answer it. Okay, just make an effort. Guest D, Gulam D, Abe C, sorry, Abe B, Karthikeyan C, Binoy D. Guest B, Natalie D. C. A project manager uses flattery. That is called ingratiating. Okay, let me take you to another slide. There I'll explain it to you. Don't worry, I'll upload whichever slides I'm discussing. Okay, it may not be there in Edureka stuff. Yeah, very interesting forms of power. It's discussed in PMBOK. Okay, politics, power, and getting things done. You know, we discussed, right? So the first skill is positional, based on authority. I'm a project manager. I have authority. Okay, that is positional, right? Informational. You know where the project is in terms of how the project is, what is the cost performance of the project is, what is the schedule performance of the project is, what is the overall risk threshold of the project, how you are managing within this risk threshold or not. You know, you have good understanding of the technology, you have good understanding of domain. So by virtue of your information, you're able to get this power. You know, that is one form of power. Okay, leadership. A referent, you don't actually have a power, you are referring to somebody. For example, you send a mail to somebody saying by 3 p.m. tomorrow PMO wants this report. So you're exercising PMO's authority. That is called referent. You're referring to someone, right? Situational is not any form of authority, any form of power. It could be anything depending on that situation, depending on a crisis situation, right? Okay, it could be positional, it could be anything, informational, anything, right? Personal, charismatic. See, you find some people exuding a lot of self-confidence. Guys are dynamic all the time, running around, getting things done, shaking hands, things. That is personal, charismatic. What is charismatic? Just by the personal charm, people get things done. Okay. Rotational. Well, you are very close to the power centers. You know the CEO very well. You know the director of projects very well. If you want, you can do anything done in the project. You can get people, you can throw people out of the project. Okay, so that is relational. Expert. I've handled 5 similar implementation projects. I'm not a project manager, but I have an expert authority. At times, my expert authority is more powerful than my positional authority. People will respect me because I know, not because I have an authority, because I know, right? That is expert. Reward, punitive. If I have authority to reward someone, I also have authority to punish. You know, that's called reward and punitive. Everyone knows punitive power will not work. Only reward works. Okay, that's a PMIism. Just remember that, right? Ingratiating is what we discussed a while ago. Okay, in the quiz. Flattery to win favor or cooperation. You just tell, John, I'm giving this job. John, no, there are so many people. I could have chosen anyone, Why did I give it only to you? Because I know only you can do this. Others will take 12 hours. You're going to do it in 3 hours. I can find a better guy. Well, that might be true. That might not be true. It might be an insincere flattery. At times, even pretended servility. Okay, right? So that type of power is ingratiating. Pressure-based, you give very limited options to guys. Let's say you call a technical module guy and tell him, see, I'm not going to agree to these architectural decisions you're taking. I'll not agree with A, B, C, D, E. You can only go for G and H. I mean, you limit others' options. That is pressure-based, right? What happens if it doesn't? Guy sends you a different agenda. Well, you'll cancel the meeting. You'll not attend the meeting. And he knows without your attendance in the meeting, no decision can be taken, isn't it? So you're putting pressure, limiting people's choice. Apparently, it looks like there is some decision making, but all decision making takes along the lines that you jotted for them, right? Guilt-based, so you find a lot of people frantically checking at their laptops on Sundays every 2 hours. Why? Because over a period of time, a guilt has gone into the mind. Not working is something guilty. Okay, right? Persuasive, request, cajole. That's persuasive. Most of the time in balance matrix, we have to exercise only persuasive power because we have no authority. Avoid, refusing to participate, right? By avoiding, you can influence the way decisions are taken. Only if you, if you put up only agenda as per my request, I will attend. No, that type of thing, right? So these are all the different types of politics, power, and getting things done. I'm sorry I had to deviate because it's not there in Edureka. 99%, 99.9999% is covered. 100% I can say one or two things like that. I have to take you out, right? Don't worry. So now we understand what is ingratiating. Okay. Now let's go to project manager as an integrator. See, yeah, this is a small topic. We can cover it. We have another 3 minutes. I'll definitely cover it. Okay, not a big thing, right? I want to please stay back. I have something important to tell you after that, right? Now, project manager is an integrator. What does that mean? See, he has to work with the sponsor. Who is sponsor? Sponsor is the one who's going to take your project results to the market. He's going to take your application functionalities to the market, your product to the market, isn't it? So as a project manager, you have to be sensitive to the business needs. You have to integrate with the strategy and execute that within the project. Organizational strategy should be executed in the project. Okay, so project manager integrates organization with the project. Then he works with the team, process knowledge people. So you have a developer, you have schedulers, you have risk managers, you have project planners, you have architects. Well, all of these guys work in their own silos. Well, you integrate the roles and responsibilities of all the people and take them along with you. That's the reason why you're there as project manager. Otherwise, you don't require a project manager at all, isn't it? So you integrate people, process, knowledge. Then you have integration happening at process level. For example, what happens if you make a change request? Any addition to scope means it could be addition to budget, addition to cost, addition to new technical performance measurements and quality, new risks. It might require new, say, staff acquisition. So at a process level, how do you integrate different functions, right? Cognitive knowledge, knowing, applying project management, right? You have to combine different knowledge areas, right? Context level, what is this? What are the emerging context changes happening in projects? A lot of social media is getting importance, you may have to set up communities of practice, okay, and so on. So you should understand what is the emerging nature of project teams. A lot of cross-cultural teams are coming up nowadays, isn't it? Right? So how do you manage changes at the context level, right? So you should have a good understanding of system behavior. What is system behavior? Anything happening at the organization will also cascade at the project, right? Human behavior, ambiguity. What is ambiguity? See, nothing we do nowadays is certain. Everything you do, you gather requirements, there is uncertainty. You come with design, there is uncertainty. All that we do, everything that we do is full of uncertainty. How do you manage ambiguity? Understand bits and pieces, right? So these are all the skills that you require as project manager, right? So this is the last question. You are the process of tailoring your project. You review how scope validation by customer can be integrated with the project closure process instead of treating them as separate process. You're performing integration at which level? You guys are amazing, I'm telling you. You're answering in short notice. In exam, you have 1.2 minutes, and you're answering just by listening to me, not even reading PMP once. So I really appreciate. So don't stop answering. That's important, right? So we have Moshin B, guest D, Gulam A, guest B, Binoy B, Abe A, Rakesh A. Well, the answer is B. Okay. So what is the question telling us? See, it talks about how scope validation by customer can be integrated with project closure. See, these are all topics we have not covered. Okay. It talks about processes. So you have to integrate different processes. So, right, it doesn't matter if you're not answered it. These processes will be covering later on, right? Yeah. This assignment. So, so the next topic is integration management. We will be discussing that tomorrow. Okay. So I just want your feedback for a change. I have something to tell you. Please stay back. So how is it going? How was it going? Was it okay? Right. Any questions you can ask me? Okay. Natalie says, great, going good. So far, so good. Okay. I have a request. See, at the end of this, as soon as you close down your browser, you will get a questionnaire. Okay. So it talks about trainers' performance and content and all that, So my request is kindly participate in the survey. Okay. The survey matters a lot to me. It impacts me, right? So my suggestion is please participate in survey. The more all of you participate, the better it is. And try to give me an encouraging rating, and I will try to live up to your expectations. And if you have suggestions, you can give me. I will implement all your suggestions. Okay. That's about me trying to participate in survey and try to give me an encouraging survey result. Okay. Thank you so much. If there are no questions, we will meet. Okay. Any questions? If not, we will break and we'll meet tomorrow. Any questions from any of you? Okay, Rakesh says, thank you very much. Thanks, Rakesh. Yeah, see you tomorrow. Karthikeyan, see you tomorrow. Natalie, Mohsin, all of you. Thanks a lot. Until then, goodbye. Have a great day.